it, tearing it, imperative. Then I'm killing this mic no matter where I live. These derelict rappers acting the fool, this embarrassing is flagrant. That's the nature of this entertainment, and we can't even change it. Guilty before arraignment, now the system taints it. But when we speak, they all laugh at us. And y'all wonder why I'm lacking trust. Try to fight a giant with attorneys that can back them up. That's church versus science, both sides start acting up. I'm late on my assignment, hopping up a mile high, climbing, obviously never silent. New alignment, I'm defiant, cannot describe it. Used to describe it as a young graffiti artist. Before the beard, I always got carded. Hit every bar, even though my bar's been the hardest. The scars on my face said I ain't always been the smartest, but I'll show you where my heart is. I said I'll show you where my heart is. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. I can show you where my...
The type of guy that would ride with the breeze. I'm higher than most people. I'm cold and icicle freeze. I'm liking to Mike Tyson. I'm a bison, a beast. I'm hot like Jamaica, like right by the beach. My pops is from a spot where they're fighting for peace. 8 years old out there watching people fight in the streets. All these sirens only make the violence increase. Yeah, we're still not loving police. It's that bright young American, nice, dumb, arrogant, tight on a mic, but he might need a therapist. Heart full of kerosene, head full of fairy tales. Said that you're my homie, you don't know me, but I know you very well. Roll back on some West Coast shit. This whole track is wetter than your dress code kiss. About to hit the track, running on some retro fit. I guess so lit, I guess so bitch, now let's go.
I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will...
Ladies and gentlemen, how are we doing this evening? Sorry. Trying to log into TVs. Avs are about to start. There's all these things going on, and things weren't cooperating. So, apologize. Ready to go. Everybody, it's Tuesday. A little sports nonsense and whiskey. Hang with the fellas. Pinky's back. How are we doing this evening, gentlemen? Robert, Pinky, hello.
Freaking tired, boys. Tired. Those late night Nuggets games are no joke.
Yeah, they're going to continue too.
I know, but and then they win, and I get all pumped up, and
yeah, then it's even harder to fall back asleep.
Yeah, I didn't go to sleep till after midnight. The game was over before 11.
Yeah, well, that happens. That definitely happens.
Oh, Knicks Sixers going to overtime. Ooh.
Yeah, that game's on TNT.
Oh, freaking ESPN would have the Avs game. Bunch of jerks.
Yeah, that's why you get cable.
I mean, I've got the ESPN package, so you know.
Do you just have ESPN Plus, or you have ESPN?
No, I have ESPN.
Oh yeah, you're good then. Pinky just has ESPN Plus, so he doesn't get anything that's on the main network.
No, Clayton. No, Clayton. We don't go there first, brother. You should know this by now, Clayton.
Oh, he surprised you.
Oh, that is a surprise.
Oh,
okay.
Pulled a fast one on Pinky. I like it, Clayton. Do work, my guy. Yeah.
I thought he was going somewhere else.
You want to start right there, Clayton? We'll start right there, and we'll get into our stuff. Yeah, he's staying in LA. They're just going to rework his contract, and he's not going anywhere.
His amount of endorsements and business stuff that's in LA, it would make no sense for it. It would make basketball sense for him to leave if he wanted to win some more rings. It doesn't make sense for him financially to leave LA.
It would also make sense if he truly did still want to play with Bronny to leave LA, because they're not developing him there. Like that's not happening. That's not happening. Rob Pelinka might be the worst GM in the league. That's been said before, and then they won a championship, so he kind of got a pass. But I think he's proven his true worth since then. So the roster construction has been atrocious. But anybody that thinks he's not GMing as well is foolish. He definitely has a very huge say in what that roster construction looks like. So a lot of this is on him. Had he not traded for Anthony Davis for the one ring and kept some of that youth and moved those pieces forward, he might be looking at multiple rings, given some of that talent they had and what they could have done to move that around. But he wanted Anthony Davis. He got Anthony Davis. They got their bubble ring, and now they're gonna have to probably restock the entire roster. But that's gonna be hard to do if you're gonna max out Anthony Davis and LeBron James. Good luck finding legit pieces to surround them with in today's NBA moving forward. You're gonna have to draft that kind of talent and home grow it, like the Nuggets have, like the Timberwolves have, like OKC has, like what San Antonio's about to do.
But they don't have time to do that with LeBron.
No, they don't, which is why his window's closed. And we'll get into more of that later. But yeah, Clayton, he's staying in LA, my guy.
Yeah, he's gonna opt out and force, continue to use his power.
Reports are a 3-year, 164 guaranteed. Somewhere in that ballpark.
Right. He's going back to LA though. I have I'm not even worried about it. He's going back to LA.
Yep.
Now, I guess we should talk about that for a moment. And I'm like I said, I might have to step away for a moment when the plumber gets here to fix my water heater. But Robert, you got to watch some of that Nuggets game last night.
Dude, that was wild. It was all over the place.
So I would say you're probably where I was like 2-3 years ago. You kind of seen the sport, maybe watched it here and there, but really hadn't dived into it. What are some of the things that you noticed watching that game?
Dude, that officiating is so inconsistent. I want to throw up.
Welcome to the NBA.
It's like I to a point I can understand some of the videos now that I see of LeBron getting overly upset about some things. But I also, you still got to keep some composure, but still that officiating is bad. It is so inconsistently, it's wild. And then the Nuggets, man, you got to still work together to get to where you're going. Just seemed like everybody was playing for their own to try and make it a star show.
Just watching the calls back and forth were so ugly.
So, absolutely insane. But it was a great game to watch, especially with JM sinking that, game-winning shot again, second time the playoffs this year. Amazing. So, Caleb, what do you think?
Gonna do NBA now. We just gonna go full bore on it now.
Pinky stepped away real quick, so we can do some quick nonsense if you want. I'm down to do that.
Yeah, let's back out, because once we start NBA, we're not coming back to the nonsense. That's gonna go full tilt. So if we got a little bit of nonsense, let's pause.
Yeah.
We gave a snippet of the LeBron James LA situation. We'll pull it back a little bit, and we'll discuss. So nonsense. What do you got, my guy? Give me some.
Shogun is finally again all wrapped up from last week. So whenever you all get through that, I'm excited to discuss. I finished Fallout. Amazing show. Loved every second of it.
Heard good things.
It's violent, not as violent as The Boys, but it definitely is gruesome. But it's awesome. What else? Oh, the Bad Batch series finale tomorrow, and it's over.
And then I get busy. So I've got that. I've got Shogun, and there's a
Tales of the Empire on Saturday. All the episodes release.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot coming out here real quick. I'm be playing some catch up.
And I actually believe when I get back next week, I will be going to see Civil War finally. With my wife, so looking forward to finally checking that out.
That new Civil War movie, like the actual,
yeah.
Okay, that looks badass.
I'm very excited.
Today's America. Mm-hmm. Whoever decided to go out on a limb and put that out right now was brilliant. And I think that one could be definitely worth watching. And feel like it's going to be a little bit of satire on the situation currently involving this country that people are not going to catch on to.
Slightly. So yeah, I'm excited. And then the following week, the new Planet of the Apes is out. So very, very intrigued by how that will perform.
Yeah, I'm not. I saw the original, and that's pretty much it. The new ones don't appeal to me whatsoever for some reason.
I really didn't have much of a draw to the Apes movies just for what they are. I honestly had more of a liking to Andy Serkis, and how he did all of that. The technology that went into it, I found very fascinating. So that's where I really started liking the Apes movies, and after watching them all, I've just come to love them. So I'm really looking forward to see where this fits in and how it's all gonna go into the story.
Yeah, I have a hard time following a story that doesn't have a foundation of relevant truth. I think is the best way I can put it. If apes started getting that smart and they started doing things, they would either get wiped out and annihilated because humans are dicks when it kind of comes to that kind of thing on the whole, or we would find a way to coexist. This idea that they would ever be able to completely wipe out and take over humanity just is so far-fetched to me. I can't get behind it. It's the same for the zombie stuff. Like it's never going to go down that way. That shit is never going to just be able to take over. And zombies can barely move, and you're telling me we're not going to just nuke an island to get rid of them? Like, come on. Like, I can't get behind that stuff when it's that unrealistic. Like, you act like, oh, they took over so fast and now the military is overwhelmed. No. Maybe in like 1930, when we didn't have any technology in the military, it would have happened, when people were still riding horses into battle. But definitely not in 2024. So you start putting those things out there. I know there's people that like it and really get into it, but
so
I can't get behind something that's and people are like, well, you gonna believe in aliens or space movies? Or fuck yeah, man. that stuff seems way more feasible to me than monkeys taking over the earth or zombies and an apocalypse. Sorry.
So what I will say is, and I guess that's where the Apes movies really get me, is the whole epidemic, if you will, is caused by a mutated cure for Alzheimer's. And from there, it's a viral infection that just now overtakes the planet. And then, but because they were testing it on chimps and apes and things, it enhances. So I liked how they approached it from that aspect instead of it being something more far-fetched. But I get what you're saying. I can appreciate where you're coming from.
I appreciate that, because I have given what you said some consideration, but it's also like, dude, this is not 1930. The flu epidemic. Look, say what you want. I never thought anything should have been shut down for COVID. Things should have gone about your normal life, and we should have just, herd immunity type stuff with what we do with everything else. And did it affect some people really bad? Yeah, I'm not going to deny that. I know people that had to deal with it really terribly. But the idea of shutting down and like people in nursing homes dying and not being able to see their families before they pass away, or, people being in hospitals alone by themselves and
missing the birth of their children.
Dude, people listening to the government and isolating themselves for a month on end because they're worried they might get, like, I don't do that stuff. Like,
yep.
You're going to take care of yourself. Your body's going to deal with it. If it is an actual deathly illness, that would be different. COVID wasn't a deathly illness. It was something that could affect certain people and cause death, but the flu could do that too, right? So I feel like there's a giant over-exaggeration to those things in a way. By no means am I trying to say it didn't exist. Look, let's not get crazy. I just felt like the way it was handled was really poor, and life should have never shut down for it. what Robert's talking about in the movie would be something that you would think about isolating for. I just find a hard time to think that it would do things in such a way that like Outbreak way back in the day. That kind of disease made sense to me, right? Just like what you're talking about with the apes. What happened when they found out what that disease was doing to the town? They quarantined the whole damn town.
They shut it down.
That didn't go anywhere else. That wasn't happening. And then anybody that remotely got close to it or was involved in it, they searched you down and you went into isolation. The whole world didn't suffer because of it. So, and then they found a cure. And that was in like 1990, right? Like, I think we've come a long way since then. So I have a hard time getting behind that stuff. Sorry, guys.
No, hey, I'm not against you on that one in any way. I get where you're coming from.
Good.
So, but yeah, so that I'm really looking forward to that and how they've done it. So, otherwise that's really all the nonsense that's going on. No Marvel stuff's happening. Really no DC stuff. So we're just hanging right now. Just waiting.
Word. Nonsense sports. Anybody that's fantasy football and dynasty, you're probably starting to either look at a draft coming up or you might already be drafting. Get behind it, run with it, get those trades in, work the clock, do all the magic you need to put your team in a better situation by the time training camp's open. We're going to be talking about the draft here soon. And there was a lot of, I feel like the draft more and more is getting to a place where you see a lot of really smart football picks, but they're not really good fantasy picks. So it's going to make the team better, but it's not necessarily going to be someone you can rely on for consistent scoring within that fantasy realm because they may not just get the touches. And it's going to be interesting to see how the NFL moves forward here over the next couple of years because it seems to be that more and more teams are moving towards the model of depth and consistency and having multiple pieces at their disposal than just those true number one studs. Started with the running back position, obviously, and that's been, hit hard. And then as you start looking at the wide receiver position, it's for fantasy purposes, you could argue that it's getting flooded and diluted a little bit because there are so many good, talented young receivers coming into the league that teams are able to add another one to their already existing one or a 1B. And then those catches and those targets and everything start getting split instead of just that one true workhorse. So there's a lot of that you can find in the draft. And it's a matter of, are you taking a guy because he's going to be consistently getting targets, but not high-end targets? Are you looking for a guy who could boom, but you need somebody else in front of him to either not perform at the highest of their level capacity or an injury? And that's why you're taking somebody to move up. So we'll talk plenty of fantasy as the months go on here, getting closer, but a little nonsense to get you going here. If you're in a dynasty and you're not drafting after the NFL draft and you're waiting until after preseason, fail. The whole point of dynasty is to create something that's more closely akin to the NFL itself, the season, all long. And it just never ends, kind of like the NFL never ends. So you should be drafting after the draft, just like the NFL does, in a way where you're taking that risk on and you're not waiting to find out who's won on the depth chart or who's didn't make the team, who's injured, who's not injured. You're taking that same risk that the NFL teams are within your dynasty. And I believe that's how that should be handled. Redrafts should be done after the last preseason game. Dynasties should be done within, I'd say, at max a month of the NFL draft. That's how I feel about it. Robert, you playing any fantasies?
The only one that I played in last season was the one that Pinky invited me to. It was the couples league. So that was actually my second time overall playing fantasy, but it was just kind of some pickup things. So I've been gaining more knowledge. So definitely looking forward to the fantasy season this year because I feel like I will be able to be more of a power situation in some leagues. So if I get invited to more, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Nice. I like
Yeah.
it. I feel like Pinky's going to want to talk a lot about his trip, and then he's going to want to go a little bit in depth with the draft. So
Should probably save that for the end. So we should briefly touch on the NHL.
I'm grabbing that now. That was my thought as well, good sir. So
My only comment from what I had seen is, dude, what happened to the guy's hand? Skate to the hand. Holy shit.
ooh, I missed that.
Yeah, it was at the Avs game. It was one of the Avs games.
Gross.
Let me find it.
I definitely missed that. All right, so here we go. We've got Golden Knight and the Stars are tied 2 apiece. The Avs are up 3-1 with a chance to close the series out tonight. That game's starting 30 seconds from now, it looks like. They're going to drop the puck. Canucks and Predators. Vancouver's up 3-1. They play tonight as well with a chance to close it out. Oilers and Kings. Oilers are up 3-1 with a chance to close it out. They play tomorrow night. So the West is looking like we could have 3 out of the 4 matchups ending tonight and tomorrow. They could also keep going, but there's opportunity there. Cody texted me. He's a little concerned about his picks and that he might have failed us in his predictions. And I assured him that we are not any better. So at least he gave us some insight on things to look for when we're watching these games. Out east, Florida already wrapped it up, beat Lightning 4-1. Maple Leafs and Bruins are tied and heading into overtime right now, actually. And that series is tied 3-1 Bruins. Hang on a second here. I want to say it's 3-1 Boston. Yeah, Boston's up 3-1, heading to overtime against the Toronto Maple Leafs. So Toronto could extend the series here in overtime, or they could just end their season real quick, which would be par for the course when we're talking about Toronto Maple Leafs, unfortunately. That franchise feels like they might be cursed. I don't know who they upset, but the voodoo lady came and made sure they're not doing anything anytime soon. Rangers swept the Caps. Not much of a surprise. Many people thought the Caps barely snuck in, shouldn't have been in there in the first place, weren't going to put up much fight. The bigger surprise is Ovi in the last game of the series not even getting a point. That's wild. So he's 42-ish goals away, I believe, somewhere in that ballpark from Gretzky's record. He'll be back next year, but if he doesn't get it next year, will he come back again? What does the end of his career look like? He still had a pretty solid season. He's not the top line best scorer in the league guy like he used to be, but he's still giving you production on that, third line, if you will. I don't quite know what line he's playing, so I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm an expert in that situation. But he's definitely not that top line scorer guy like he used to be, but he's still productive. And then finally, you got the Hurricanes and the Islanders. Hurricanes are up 5-3 right now. 10 minutes to go in the third. So Carolina's playing really good. Cody liked them to win it all. We'll see how that plays out in the next couple of rounds. But we are on the verge of the NHL starting to show who's moving on for those second round matchups. And there's been some good hockey this first round for sure. Look, if you don't like hockey, but you want to try to give it a chance, now is the best time. Nothing compares to NHL playoffs. The Stanley Cup run is a very unique thing in and of itself. And playoff hockey is just on a different level than regular season hockey. And there is nothing you can compare it to in any other sport. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know really what it is. But when hockey players get into the playoffs, you can feel the intensity rise to a very different level that you just don't see
90
in other
seconds.
sports.
90 seconds into the Avs game, they're already down 1-0.
It's okay, Pinky. It's okay.
That's gross.
It's okay. It's fine. It's not a problem.
90 seconds.
Real quick, Caleb, before we go any further on that topic.
Is that me? Or is that your, like, somebody's internet's going out?
Well, it's going to be yours then, because Robert and I have been just
we're
stalling.
chilling.
You guys suck.
I sent the link for the incident. Now that I've seen the video. Yep, Pinky just dropped.
I don't know if I want to even watch this.
But yeah, one of the Jets players Dylan got his hand lacerated from an Avs player from one of the brawls.
Dude, it's surprising that it doesn't happen more often in hockey, to be honest with you. With how sharp those skates are, the fact that you don't see more cuts when guys are falling and stuff is surprising. Whew, yuck. So that's where we're sitting with NHL. I don't have any say in who I think is moving on this year. I do hope the Avs can continue playing the way they are, because it's reminiscent of 22 when they just went up and down the ice on everybody, and there was no way anybody was going to keep up with them. I have blasted Georgiev left and right as a weak goalie, and his stats have proved it. However, he is playing better. But I think it's more what the team in front of him is doing than it is necessarily him as a whole. I'll give him credit. He's playing better, but I think those lines in front of him have stepped up a lot more to make sure that he doesn't have to do as much for them, because they know he can't. So we'll see how the Avs can go moving forward.
New skin.
Remember when you were worried 30 seconds ago?
Well, I'm still worried. I'm going to be worried every game because of Georgie.
Yeah, well, that happens. So that's going to be the end of our NHL talk for now. But once the second round gets more settled, we'll discuss those matchups again a little bit more and go from there. Pinky, are you ready to move into some NBA? Are you good? Are we? Oh, we can't even. You might want to tell the rest of your family it's time to get off the internet. Just thought.
Bam.
Your modem doesn't seem like it can handle everyone.
Pinky can't hang tonight.
Pinky's talking, you don't even hear him. And he's not even on mute.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Yeah, right. I've come to speak with you again.
Oh, man.
Awesome. Classic movie, by the way.
Yes.
If you're picking up a soundtrack, if you haven't seen The Graduate, there's something wrong with you and you need to get your stuff together. All-time classic. Go watch The Graduate.
Completely. Great movie.
Absolutely. Oh, my goodness. Boy, you're going to walk away at that ending.
Dustin Hoffman, man. He's such a great actor.
As a 19-year-old or something like that, he was when
that
was made.
1967 was when it came out.
Yeah, man, classic. And then that ending. Oh,
yeah.
You want to sit there and all of a sudden you feel like everything's roses, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, no,
it's not.
No. Oh, so good. All right, let's move into a little basketball now.
Oh, Pinky's dead.
We discussed a little bit of LeBron, a little bit of what LA is doing. Look, here's the deal. And I'll come out and say this, and I would be surprised if it weren't true. Now, granted, it's a giant what-if hypothetical. But if the Lakers were on the opposite side of the bracket from the Nuggets in that Western Conference, I truly believe they would have ended up in the Western Conference with the Nugs in that Western Conference Finals. They just unfortunately got a matchup in which they had to play the best team and the team that kind of just matches up with them better than anybody else. The Lakers held the lead in that series 3 times more than the Nuggets did overall minutes. It was like 163 to 58 or something like that. Which is disgusting, honestly. And you see something like that, and you go, damn, the Lakers actually kind of dominated that series and failed. And you could easily look at those numbers and say that. It wouldn't be true. The better team did win. There's a reason the Nuggets won. And if you watch the games, you can point at specific moments and reasons for why Lakers might have been up or the reason the Lakers blew a lead. You could point to not necessarily being the Lakers, but the Nuggets and the way in which they were playing a little too loose, a little lackadaisical. So it could go both ways, and you could argue both sides of that coin, and I wouldn't have much of an issue with it. But if you're sitting here today saying that the better team didn't win, then you need to go check yourself, because plain and simply, the better team did win. Here's the kicker. The Nuggets are also the more inexperienced team. And that's going to sound a little wild because they're the defending champs. But their core, their starting 5, has some experience. And once you get into the playoffs, you only really need to run a 7, maybe 8-man rotation. The problem is the Nuggets bench is young and inexperienced. Yes, Brown came back, but he didn't get a ton of minutes last championship run. He got some minutes in big-time moments, but not consistent minutes to build his skills. You got Peyton Watson playing. Reggie Jackson's new to this team. Don't even get me started on why he's getting minutes. And then the rotation's a little bit different as well, with Bruce Brown not being there. Obviously, there's some other pieces that have left as well, but the core is the same. That starting 5 is the same.
We missed Jeff Green a little bit.
Well, yeah. Brown, if Bruce Brown and Jeff Green were still here, Reggie Jackson wouldn't be playing at all. But then again, Peyton Watson may not be either. So it's not all bad. It's not all bad. But it's something Nuggets fans need to keep in mind. They are a little bit inexperienced going forward, but it's building. And it's not much different than what happened last year on their run. Their bench was a little shaky. It was building all through last year. It gelled at the end of the season, came together, and went on an epic run with the team. It's similar this year, but you still see some of the inexperience. And then just guys, shot selection has been bad for the Nuggets. It's been bad. And Jokic is going to need to clean up his turnovers too. Last couple of games have been bad with his ball security. So there's a lot that needs to be worked on.
Joker needs to be like, just know, hey, bro, just go score. And yeah, if they attack you and somebody's wide open, you want to pass, fine. But he kept looking for that pass all last night, and I was so angry.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Such a bad game from him last night. A Joker game.
I mean, the turnovers were bad. I mean, I think he ended up with 7 or 8. So that's bad, but he still ended with 27 points, 19 rebounds, and 9 assists.
Yeah. Again, from a Joker game, if you say Joker put up those numbers, and if you were watching, you went away going, wow, that's one of the worst games I've seen him play.
The turnovers
it just tells you like he can play much better.
The turnovers were bad. So Nuggets advance. Lakers, their window's over. And a lot of that's due to the new cap rules that are going to be coming into play here. I don't see how they overhaul that roster in any manner that will allow them to then be competitive for a championship run again. There's just too many issues with the cap. And then you got guys like D'Angelo Russell, who's probably going to opt out of his contract. And if he does that, the Lakers don't have money to then replace him with anywhere close to the same caliber player. They can keep him. They can sign him to extensions. But if he moves, they don't have the money then within NBA rules and the salary cap to then go out and pay somebody else to replace him. There's people talking like they're going to go out and trade for Young and get Ice Trey out in LA. But how?
Gross.
Like, you'd have to give up all your firsts to do so, and then the amount of luxury tax you're paying, and you would have to absorb. Like, they don't even like paying coaches now. You wouldn't be able to pay a coach, period, at that point. So you better just hope LeBron's finally willing to just do the job. Because if he's not, then I don't know what the Lakers are doing. The way their roster construction and contracts have been handled by Rob Pelinka in that front office has been really bad. Really bad. So, Lakers fans, I'm sorry. I know you're the Lakers. But I don't see how any of this changes in the next 3 to 5 years if LeBron is still playing.
This is kind of like that last part of Kobe's run. Like, once it got to the end and they were holding on and you didn't want to rip the Band-Aid off, but maybe the best thing to do was ripping the Band-Aid off. But they make so much money with LeBron. It's just one of those things. Like, do we want to make money or we want to win championships?
You don't got
like making money.
That's not a question you ask with the LA Lakers. It's not a question you ask with the Boston Celtics. Yeah, they're going to make their money, but they're about winning, period. Those franchises are about winning. They just, look.
Are they?
Since Dr. Bus died, they've been a franchise in turmoil. And while I really like Jeannie, and I thought she was going to be able to get this taken care of, I get this sense that she's got too many yes people around her. And she also has a hard time saying no. And I don't think she has the same type of charisma that her dad had to be able to talk people into playing in LA for maybe a discount because you're playing in LA. And it's also not the same as it used to be, 20 years ago. It's a global market now. Social media and everything else. Look at Giannis in Milwaukee. That dude's not hurting for endorsements. He's not hurting for TV time. He's not hurting for, a salary and a contract. So the times are a-changing. And the Lakers have not done things correctly in the sense that they have no building block pieces to move forward with. Whereas you look at like what the Celtics did, dude, you don't remember, they're bad for a while. And Danny Ainge took some drastic measures to overhaul that roster and get picks and then make smart selections and build from within, which is what you're going to have to do in the modern NBA. So Nuggets move on. Other series out west, you've got the Mavs and the Clippers. Mavs are going to win that series. And a lot of it's going to have to do with the fact that the guys that LA chose to push all in with are just not there when they pushed all in. And that's a problem. Kawhi played basically all year. More power to him. They found a way to load manage him just enough to where I think he played like 70 games. Like, Kawhi played a lot of games.
He played the most games I think he's played since San Antonio.
Yeah. So, but out of nowhere, the knee flared up. I mean, the dude's playing, if I remember correctly, basically he's playing with no cartilage in his knees. That's kind of what's going on. So you can get away with it, but it can also flare up really easily, and that's what's happened to him. The swelling and stuff, and they can't get rid of it. He might miss the whole series. And that, what do you do? You're stuck with the contract, right? Like, you have to move forward with them. I think they got another 2 years, maybe another year. I haven't looked at it too hard yet. I will more in the offseason once everything starts. But they went all in with Kawhi. Kawhi told them what he wanted. So then they went all in again to get Paul George to be his running mate. They put good pieces around him. Like, in all honesty, the way LA did it, they have the talent to go forward. and win. But PG and Kawhi have missed so much time
And
in the most crucial moments that
they typically
it's
miss time in the playoffs.
That's right. So it's failed. So I don't see any way that they can come back. I believe tomorrow night is a closeout game. Let me double check here. No, series is tied at 2.
Yeah, I thought it was still 2-2.
I thought it was 3-2 for some reason. That's my fault. So you got tomorrow night. I would be hard pressed to think that the Mavs don't find a way to win that series. Again, we thought it could go 7, so it's not going to be surprised if it goes back and forth.
Look, it's 2-2. We've seen good stuff from both teams. I believe both teams have had blowout games, so it's not crazy to say the Clippers could still win this thing. It's probably going 7. I'd like to see the Mavs win just because I think it's cooler to have Luka keep kind of moving up the ladder, but I don't think the Mavs. I mean, if they make it to the Thunder, man, they're not going to touch the Thunder.
You sure about that?
I'm pretty sure about that.
If the Pelicans were healthy, now let's go to that series. Pelicans got swept. 4 straight games. Oklahoma City moving on. Easy. But, and this is a huge but for New Orleans, obviously, but if Brandon Ingram is healthy and Zion is healthy, I don't know that OKC wins that series. Now, there will be some people that blast me for that, but I don't think you understand how good
Would you say
New Orleans was when they were fully healthy.
It's probably absolutely more competitive.
Let's say this. If those two were healthy going into that series and you told me they were going to play every game, I'd have picked the Pelicans in 6.
I still take the Thunder, but I like the Thunder.
I like the Thunder, but they don't have the type of explosiveness that Zion can. Nobody on the Thunder could guard Zion. Period. End of story. And Brandon Ingram, when he's right, I don't see anybody on OKC that could have guarded him either. So you get 2 on the Pelicans. You only got 1 on the Thunder. SGA is the truth. That dude can play. So nobody on the Pelicans would have been able to stop him. But that's 2-1. And then you want to start looking at those secondaries. McCollum is a solid vet, and he can light it up if you give him the opportunity. Now, OKC's got the William boys, but they're a little bit younger, and they're not exactly those straight-up scorers like McCollum is. They got Chet. But Chet, matching up against Valanciunas, that could cancel some things out. So it's one of those things where we may never know what the Pelicans' true potential is because they may never see their true potential on the court all at the same time. And that's unfortunate, but it's true. And we all know I love OKC and that talent. I told you at the beginning of the year, they're going to be this year's Sacramento, but more dangerous. And I wouldn't be surprised if they did it a year early, which they did. I also said their coach is the coach of the year because what he did with that. Yes, he was because of what he did with that young core.
He? No, never mind. It's the Timberwolves coach that's got the shoulder issue.
The torn patellar tendon or something in his knee, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Out of bounds came and knocked him out. So, look, OKC swept them. Wasn't really close. And they're moving on, and they're a year ahead of schedule. So OKC is going to be dangerous moving forward. But who are they getting in the second round? Mavs or Clippers. And neither is a great matchup either way. So you could see a really interesting series because OKC is not a great matchup for the Mavs, and the Mavs wouldn't be a great matchup for OKC. LA is the same. The problem with LA is, again, they have to get to that second round and hope all their guys are going to be healthy enough to play. And that's it's one of those things where it's like you got to do it before we're going to believe you because they haven't done it. And every time they say they're going to do it,
Mhm.
somebody gets hurt and they don't get a chance to do it. So I still think the Mavs win that series. I still think they play OKC. And then we'll discuss. Once we know the matchup, we'll discuss on how we see the series.
I would be excited because, again, I like watching Luka. When he is on, like, it just, like, you can't stop the guy.
I'm going to venture a guess that says it's Mavs and OKC, and early gut reaction would say Mavs in 7.
Ooh. Oh,
that would be my early gut reaction.
Big E jumped on tonight. What's up, Big E?
So,
the last one, Robert. What do you know about the Timberwolves and the Suns? What do you know?
Not too much. I'm still getting into my basketball groove, man.
Who won?
I think the Timberwolves did, right?
There we go. We got it started.
We
got it started. Man, seeing the Suns get swept is just like, it just makes me feel so good. It makes me feel so good.
What's the beef on the Suns?
So
many.
2 years ago, 3 years ago, when we were in
this dude.
So we played the Suns, and we didn't have Jamal Murray or Michael Porter Jr. It was just Joker and a bunch of dudes, and probably didn't have any like business being in the second round. But hey, we won. We got there, and there was this guy in the crowd. He was like Suns in 4, and again, he was right. Suns did sweep the Nuggets, but they didn't have a full squad, and it wasn't like, it wasn't like a big good series because we didn't have a full squad.
It was also the year the Suns ended up going to the finals and losing to Giannis and the Bucks, which that squad was more talented overall than the squad they have now.
Right. After all the changes they've made in the last 3 years. And to last year get beat by the Nuggets. This year, we're going to go trade for Bradley Beal. We're going to go all in. And all they did was trade away like all their picks. Like they don't have picks till like 2031.
Yeah,
like,
it's something ridiculous.
It's disgusting. And it's like, why? Like, and again, if these guys were all 22, could you make that case? Like, yeah, they're 22. They're going to be awesome for years. We can draft a couple guys to kind of bring along with them. But Kevin Durant is near the end or closer to the end. Like he can still put up 30 on a given night, but if he's not on, even when he is on, I mean, Booker and him scored 70 some points and they still lost by 20. So just seeing them like lose in epic fashion, Robert, just feels good to still kind of be like really digging it back in of like, hey guys, you beat us, but you didn't win a ring. You still ain't got a ring. And your window may be more closed than the Lakers.
Damn.
Oh, it's definitely more closed than the Lakers. Pinky, what did I tell everybody? Everybody when they made the move for Durant. And then I 1,000 double down when they signed Beal.
Yeah, you just said it wasn't going to work. I mean, you may have gone into more detail, but that's
right. That's a simple way to say it. I like it. For many reasons, it wasn't going to work. You were. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm drawing a blank. I apologize, everybody. You're duplicating the same position 3 times. Booker, Durant, and Beal occupy the same space on the court. There is no difference between the 3 games. 0 difference. You can talk about talent level, but the way in which they play and the space they occupy on the court is all the same. You had no point guard to facilitate the offense, and you wanted Devin Booker to do that. You had no depth bench. So if those 3 were hurt, which they were all year, which is why they were where they were in the standings, you're screwed. On top of all of that, you now, like Pinky just said, have 0 capital to do anything with for the next 5+ years. Okay.
And I think they gave Bradley Beal like $200 million or something stupid like that.
They took over the contract that he already had. They didn't re-sign him to a new
which
one.
is really bad because he has not been the player that they traded for.
Because you've got two guys ahead of him that do the same thing. So why you thought he was going to come in and do it better or the same or along with was foolish. But let's take it a step further. You want to go down the rabbit hole even a little bit more? I gave you the blueprint last year and people laughed at me. They also laughed at me when I said there's zero chance the Suns are going to win it all, even when the national media was saying it. And then we get a bunch of that keyboard warrior stuff saying, you don't know what you're talking about. You're just some dipshit on a podcast. Like, okay, fine.
Robert, Kale's feelings have been hurt.
Let's be honest.
I can hear it.
Let's be honest. Just because somebody has a job doesn't mean they're good at it. And that's in every profession that's ever existed. There's people who have doctorates who are practicing medicine who should not be touching anyone. Like, let's just be real about the situation. So for people out there to think that the GM knows more than somebody sitting on their couch, okay, generally speaking, I could probably get behind that. But if you do even a little bit of research, you're not that far behind what the GM is doing. Okay? Like, let's just be honest here. And there's a lot of people in decision-making positions in all of professional sports who are really bad at their jobs and shouldn't have them. But because this good old boy system has been in effect since the beginning of time with all of these professional sports, they're allowed to just recycle each other over and over again. So when you get those situations, it's bad. Now, here's the kick with all of this, though. The Suns are not in this position because of their GM. The Suns are in this position because their owner was forced to sell because he was a racist POS, okay? And the new owner came in and thought he was smarter than everybody else and wanted to make a giant splash and ruin the team. And now the Suns are going to be in hell for at least a decade. Suns fans, I'm sorry, but that's where you're at.
I don't quite fault the guy for wanting to make a splash. If you've been to Phoenix and you know where they put the arena and the Cardinal Stadium, it's on the side of town nobody wants to go to, which makes no sense. It's on, like, I want to say it's on the western side of town.
Yeah, but that's
everything's
football,
on
dude.
The eastern side.
That's football.
Well, the Suns arena is down there too.
No, the Suns arena is right downtown Phoenix, right across the street, basically from the baseball field. All right downtown. They have plenty of fandom. Plenty of fandom. He ruined. They were in the finals. He bought the team, traded for Kevin Durant, and completely devastated any chemistry they had, along with half of their depth. So they were already thin. Then he turned around and wanted another splash play, brought in Beal, a redundancy. That's the word I was looking for. Having all three of them is a redundancy on the team. And it caused them issues.
Write that down, Robert.
So, again, I'm going to say, I gave you the blueprint how to beat them last year. It's let the stars go off for 30 or 40. Let Durant, let Booker, let Beal all go 30. All of them. Here's the problem. That's all that's going to score because you can shut down the rest of their pieces because they're nobodies. So if you have even a decent defensive team, let those guys get theirs. They're only scoring 90. Say their bench, you let the bench get another 15 to 20. You can beat a team at 110 if you're just running up and down the court.
Especially a team that can't play defense.
Exactly. They can't play defense. So it's a shoot 'em out game. You can easily shoot them out. Easily. And Minnesota didn't just shoot them out. Minnesota shut them down. So, and Minnesota's a good team. And they're a good defensive team. So Phoenix didn't have a chance. And Phoenix is done for at least a decade. And I will be amazed at this point if this owner ever figures it out. So Phoenix, sorry. I got some more bad news coming. Devin Booker is not staying. Kevin Durant is not going to stay.
Which is fine. But then they don't have
that's fine,
anything.
But here's the problem. They're not going to trade them and acquire. These guys are going to leave in free agency. So you're not even going to be able to get something out of nothing. You're going to get nothing out of nothing.
Can you imagine how bad they're going to be for so long? It's going to be amazing.
It's mind blown. And I
I'm
don't
very
understand
curious to get
how-
into this now.
I don't even understand how somebody that can make money the way he did to become a billionaire and acquire a team can then turn around and make such terrible decisions when it comes to
Like Robert,
building a team. I don't get it. I don't understand how these supposedly really intelligent men are so stupid at this stuff.
I had Pinky Jr. hanging out with me watching the Nuggets game last night, which I truly cherish those moments when he's there and we're both fist bumping every Nugget, 3-pointer, and just that, like, just having that passion just really warms my heart.
Absolutely.
But we were talking about the Suns, and he was like, "Dad, I'll be 26 years old." He's 19. He's like, I'll be 26 years old by the time they have a first round pick.
Damn.
I was like, "Oh yeah, damn, you will be. You be old, damn." So
Don't say that. I'm 20. I'm gonna be 28 this year, Pinky.
welcome to being old, brother.
My ass is 40, and I still feel like I'm an immature 16-year-old.
Everybody says I'm much younger than I look.
Dude, I'm not old. I'm not anywhere close to old. I don't care what anybody says about my age. I am far from.
And I'm almost in the best shape of my life.
You're doing work these last couple of years, my guy. More power. Cheers, Pinky, because you put in the work.
Yeah.
Yesterday's workout almost killed me.
And quick tangent. Now, Pinky, I mean, I also have a workout room at my complex now, but hey, there's a pool and hot tub you get to enjoy after those workouts. So,
Like, Robert, get the beers. I'll meet you at the pool. Let's go.
Done.
So to finish out the West, we will get the Nugs and the Timberwolves, which the Nuggets last year said the Timberwolves gave them their hardest series of the entire playoffs, and it just happened to be round 1. 6-game series. Phoenix was 6-2, but the Nuggets.
No. Timberwolves was.
Was it 5?
4.
I thought it was 6. No, they didn't sweep them last year. They didn't sweep them. No.
If they didn't sweep them, they lost 1.
It was a gentleman's sweep then. I know Minnesota got 1 at home. I couldn't remember if it was 2.
We only lost 4 games the whole time. We lost 1 to Miami.
Okay, but it was just 1 to Minnesota. It was just 1 to Minnesota because it was 2 to Phoenix. And even that didn't feel like a big deal.
Because we lost the 2 in Phoenix.
That's right. So, okay, it was just the 1 to Minnesota. But Denver still felt that was the toughest series they had. And I agree based on what I saw. So, Pinky, I told you, for all our Nuggets fans, I will give you the breakdown on what the Nuggets need to do to advance through this series.
That's next week.
You want to do that next week?
We haven't
the
even
series
got
already going to start by then.
We're already an hour in, and we haven't even gotten to football yet, bro.
Yeah, well, that's fine. We'll get to football. This is the NBA playoffs, my guy. This isn't like regular season I'm taking time on. So we still got to do the East, too. I'll burn through the East for you. But I got to give this. Because the games are starting before we get on next week. So I need to make sure I've got it on film.
And I'm not going to be able to watch any of them.
What?
I'm going to a wedding, Pinky.
You have a cell phone, don't you?
They're on at 8 o'clock. They're on at 7. Oh, they're on at 7 o'clock at night your time.
No, it doesn't matter. Do you have a cell phone?
And I'm the best man that's organizing all of it. So
that's awesome. Do you or do you not? Oh, wait.
Hold on.
Is this like a friend who could give a shit less about sports friend?
Yeah,
absolutely.
He's getting married on May the 4th, Caleb.
That's a problem.
So hold on. That's just game 1, though. That's fine.
That's a problem.
He's getting married on May the 4th.
At my wedding was just a random Nebraska game. And everybody at the wedding was gathered around cell phones to watch the end of the game during the reception.
No, if anybody's going to be gathered around watching Tales of the Empire, that's what's happening.
That's awful. That's not acceptable.
I got friends from all walks, man. I mean, you see my office.
But see, here's the kicker, Robert. You know I've got my nerd, and I'm all about that stuff. There's a difference, though. You can watch that shit at any point in time. It's not a live event.
True.
Sports are live, and anybody that says just record the game and watch it later does not understand.
When do you get back, Robert?
I get back late Sunday night.
Okay, Monday night we're good. Monday night's game too. We'll get together. We'll watch it.
Cool.
All right. Pinky, are you
no,
ready?
I'm gonna be with the wife after being gone, so I'm gonna be with her.
Wait, your wife's not going to the wedding?
No. Long story.
I'm gonna leave that one alone.
Long story.
Moving along.
I'm gonna leave that one alone.
Moving on.
Here's the breakdown, Pinky. Minnesota is a great defensive team, and they have a weapon. Ant is insanely good, and he is fun to watch. So there are some matchups that need to be handled correctly. And I'll be surprised if what I'm about to tell you is not exactly what we see. I think these are obvious scenarios for anybody that has a solid understanding of the basketball thought process, if you will. So here's what you need to do. Ant Edwards. There needs to be two guys that are guarding him throughout the series, and they should be switching off continuously to be throwing different looks at him. Whether you want to do that each quarter or off and on makes and misses, however you want to handle that, there's a lot of ways to do it. But there should be two guys run at him all series, and that should be KCP and Aaron Gordon. Those two dudes are different. Aaron Gordon's big and can body him, but he can also play the perimeter defense. KCP's quicker and smaller, but he's able to force Ant in different areas of the court because he can keep up with him a little better. Aaron Gordon's going to be able to body him and wear him down. The reason you're sending both at him is that exact thing. You're going to push him into areas of the court that he doesn't necessarily want to be in all the time by throwing two different types of style defenders at him, who are both elite level defenders. Let's keep that in mind. Elite level defenders that you're sending at him. Jokic gets to rest the entire series because you're putting him on Gobert and you're not going to be worried about it at all. Gobert will never be an offensive threat, and Jokic will burn him down on the offensive end. I am tired of hearing people talk about Rudy Gobert like he's some kind of savior. I am tired of people talking about Rudy Gobert like just because he has some Defensive Player of the Year awards, he's an actual good basketball player. He didn't deserve any of the awards he got, all right? I'm going to say it now. I don't care.
Including the one he's about to win?
He did not deserve any of the Defensive Player awards he earned. Standing in the middle of the lane and blocking some shots is not a defensive player. It's a really tall dude who can get in the way. There is a difference. Now, I will give Rudy Gobert credit. I have seen some improvement this year. Not enough to say I would have given up anything close for what they did to get him. Not anywhere close to say I would like to have him on my team. I don't think he's that good. I think he's highly overrated, and I think he's average to maybe slightly above average as a defender. He can't guard on the perimeter. He cannot shuffle his feet. Jokic can take him out with the Murray pick and roll, and Gobert will be put on an island all series, and his defense will be nil. He is not a factor in this series, Nuggets fans, so don't worry about it. Timberwolves fans, I know you're going to tell me I'm wrong. You're wrong. Sorry. Gobert is not going to be able to do anything to Jokic. Period. End of story. Cat. Guess who you put on Cat? MPJ, who has drastically improved his defense this year and has become a solid rebounder. Karl Anthony Towns can't play defense, all right? So you've got now two liabilities if you're the Minnesota Timberwolves. Gobert and Cat on the defensive end playing against MPJ, Aaron Gordon, and Jokic. You're already liable.
It pretty much that's pretty much what we saw play out in the playoffs last year.
Now, here's the wild card for Minnesota. It's Daniels and Naz Reid, both of which are solid defenders. Daniels even more so. Daniels sits at 6'8", 6'9", I think, and Naz Reid is like 6'11". So the one thing Minnesota can do is throw some size at Denver. The problem is if they throw that size at Denver, they're then going to have to sacrifice a little bit on that offensive end. The last piece you have is Conley. So what do you do with Conley? Well, Murray guards him. Conley's not the greatest defender. He's going to have to guard Murray. Murray's an average to above average defender. He can stay with Conley enough to make life hard for him. So now it really comes down to Jokic against Gobert on the offensive end for Denver, and then KCP and Gordon against Ant on the offensive end for Minnesota. What matchup do you like more? If you've been watching these playoffs, do you like the pick and roll with Murray and Jokic against Conley and Gobert? Or do you like what Ant can provide on ISO plays and the possibility of him moving that ball to somebody like Cat or Conley or Reed?
I'm pretty confident Ant averaged 30 points a game in the last playoffs against the Nuggets, but that's not what did them in. What did them in is they couldn't get the rest of their guys to score consistently, whereas then they couldn't play defense on the Nuggets all game.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
The Nuggets wore them down.
What do I always say, Pinky, is an okay scenario, if you want to allow it, is to let the star score. You don't have to shut down the star. In fact, it's foolish to even think about trying to make that part of your game plan. Play the solid defense on him like you would any other time, and find a focus on how you shut down the rest of the team.
What happened all series in the Lakers series when LeBron would try to take over?
We were fine.
Everybody went cold.
That's right.
The rest of the team didn't get involved. They didn't hustle to the ball. They waited for LeBron to make plays. And when he did make plays, but then when it was time for them to step up, they were cold. They weren't in the game.
Yep, exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what you're going to see with Minnesota. I think we see a 6-game series. I would like to see the Nuggets just run it through and sweep them, or give us the gentleman's sweep in 5. Minnesota's a good team, though. They're a damn good team.
They'd have to play. They'd have to ratchet up a level from what they played in the Lakers series. They'd have to really turn it up
to sweep them. Yes. Now Nuggets got to take better care of the ball, and they can't come out flat to start every game. They can't do that because Minnesota will play defense, and that creates issues if you're trying to make a comeback every single game. You can't do that. But
Nuggets just need to play their game.
That all being said, the giant kicker is the fact that Minnesota has a giant, glaring, huge liability on both sides of the court in this matchup, and that's Gobert. Plain and simple. The Nuggets don't have that issue. The Timberwolves are going to have to make sure they cover and guard every single person on the Nuggets, or you will get burned. Gordon went off for 29 and 15 or something like that one game against the Lakers. MPJ last night had like 28 and 10. Okay? You want to shut down Jokic and Murray? Go right ahead. They're going to get 30, 10, and 5, 30, 10, and 5.
And I'm waiting for us to unleash Aaron Gordon and tell him to go play bully ball.
Well, and that's what you're going to see this series. I truly believe we played a lot of finesse ball against the Lakers. The Nuggets played a lot of finesse ball against the Lakers, and I called them out a couple times for that through our group chat. They won't do that against Minnesota. It just won't happen because Minnesota won't play that way. So the Nuggets won't play that way. So I don't feel this is an issue. And I'll be honest. I'll be perfectly honest. If Gobert wasn't on that team and they were running Naz Reid and McDaniels in the rotation, I would feel a lot more concerned than I would with Gobert being in there. So, look, I'm still blown away that there's this faction on social media and throughout the basketball world that thinks Gobert is some kind of talented basketball player. He's not, guys. He is not a talented basketball player. And don't come at me like, well, you couldn't play in the NBA. No shit, okay? Like, duh. I'm not saying that. I'm comparing him to his peers. And if you look at his talent level to his peers' talent level, all Gobert does is have really good height. He doesn't shoot. He doesn't dribble. He barely rebounds these days, it feels like. And the only reason he does get rebounds is, again, because he's really tall. His footwork is terrible. Like, I can go on with the things that this guy does not do on a high NBA level.
Joker usually puts up 30 on Gobert. Like, and that just happens. Now he puts up 30 against most people as well, so it's like not saying anything.
But if you're supposed to be the best defensive player in the league,
you could see Joker hesitate a couple times against Anthony Davis. There were times he hesitated.
Yeah, exactly. Anthony Davis is a talented basketball player.
All right, tell us about the East, Caleb.
So there's your breakdown. Nuggets fans feel good. You have the advantages, and I don't see how they don't take advantage of them. Out East, I am looking now because I want to know who won this overtime game.
76ers.
They did. All right, so we'll start there. Knicks lead the series 3-2. The Knicks have looked like the much better team.
Although
now, if Embiid was healthy, like actually healthy, this would look different.
But if they didn't allow the Knicks, if there wasn't horrible officiating at the end of that game 2, Sixers are 3-2 right now.
No, not doing that because I already told you, I broke it down. The very first foul on that play was Maxey running into the lane and tossing Hart out of the way. The very first thing that happened in that play was an offensive foul. So I don't want to hear anything from the Philly fans about how Maxey then got bum rushed in the corner, okay? Yeah, he did get fouled, but he fouled somebody to even get open to get the ball, okay? So
hey, it works for LeBron. It works for LeBron James. It should work for them too.
Maxey's not LeBron, okay? So I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. And if we want to take it a step further, the NBA officiating, if you're an NBA fan, you should already know it's going to be wildly inconsistent and it's not going to make any sense.
So at least you can tell, for the most part, like they do let both sides play. But then, depending on who's playing, those inconsistencies come up. We saw it in the Nuggets game. Jamal Murray, he's got his perfect and one. They wave it off, foul on the floor, no and one, no points, side out. What? LeBron comes down later, does the same exact thing, and his 2 points counted, go to the free throw line. Same thing. Like, it's just that inconsistency that makes no sense at all. Like, most of the announcers will tell you, like, they have no idea what a foul is.
Well, like, this whole, like, the announcers are having a field day right now with this marginal contact bullshit that the NBA introduced out of nowhere once the playoffs.
You made a fair point last night.
I hadn't heard marginal contact until these playoffs started.
You made a fair point. The Nuggets got a marginal contact call in the first game. The Lakers got one last night. And again, when they showed the replay, somebody was like, Anthony Davis is hitting him in the back. That's a foul. He's grabbing him there. That's a foul. He does get all ball, but then he smacks them all in the face. That's a foul. So we've got 3 fouls on the same play, and they wipe all of them out
because they were marginal. I don't understand marginal contact. That means there was contact. Was it a foul or not? Like, I don't need to hear marginal. Like,
but there's no marginal contact on LeBron.
Yeah. Well, people want to say this, and they want to say he's LaFlop and this and that. He's not. Like, you hate greatness, and that you chose to hate greatness. I don't know why. I think most of the hate for LeBron, and we'll talk about this later. I'll just say it real quick. I think it all stems back to his decision. I truly believe that decision caused him to be a villain. Before that, there was zero LeBron hate.
Nah, man, his whining for every single time he's barely touched is infuriating.
He's done that his whole career.
I know.
Nobody hated it, though, until he made the decision.
I've always hated it. Whenever I watch his games, like, that's what I see when I watch him. Like, greatness.
I don't think he would have the hate he has today if the decision was done differently.
And again,
I think him and his team and Rich Paul and everybody else involved handled that as poorly as you possibly could.
I absolutely agree with that. I think we've discussed that was they did that really wrong. On top of that, though, because
it was a great cause. It was a great reason to do it. Just didn't perform it the right way.
It was the right decision too. But for those 21 years, watching him whine, complain, do all these things, get the calls nobody else is getting, it's just pretty infuriating. So that's it. All right, Knicks Sixers. They're going to be going to Game 6 back to Philly.
Look, I said if Embiid gives you at least 28 minutes a night, I feel like Philly will win. I went back on that last week because it doesn't matter how long he's on the court. He's playing on one leg. And the fact that the Sixers are willing to risk how much?
48 minutes.
That I don't. This.
He got a triple double.
I know, his first ever career playoff triple double. I don't know how this can't be considered negligence on the franchise. I don't understand how you're risking a first round playoff series. Even if they made it to the finals, do they truly believe with the health of that team that they could beat whoever comes out of the West? Like, being realistic here, let's say you win. Let's say somehow magically Philly gets all the way to the finals and wins. What is that doing to his long-term longevity? Is risking that right now, all those what ifs of potential, risking it right now on him playing on one leg, worth it?
Have you watched Philly over the last 20 years? I think they'd take that. I think they would take a championship over Embiid's long-term health right now.
Oh, man. That's
the process. The not getting anything from Embiid and having Harden and all that, like they haven't gotten anything from these guys. I think they would trade in. You get a championship, but Embiid never plays again. I think they would take that deal.
Yeah, I mean, I would. You know how I feel about getting the championship all in and rebuilding, but
you'd be like, Embiid's never healthy anyway. Let's do that.
Yeah, right. Like, but you are risking his career for this first round playoff series, and that blows my mind.
That's desperation, though, man.
Oh, whatever word is above desperation is where they're at now, Pinky. Like, it's ridiculous. So I don't see how they win this series now. I just don't.
I mean, they're going home for Game 6. It looks like from the comments the Knicks threw the game away. So.
Yeah, but what happened? What happened when the game was in Philly last time? It was a home game for New York, and Embiid was sick to his stomach, and people couldn't believe that New York took over Philadelphia. Philadelphia is an American sports town, okay? If you don't know that, they are hardcore. And for the Knicks to come in, the Knicks aren't some kind of great traveling team. This isn't the Pittsburgh Steelers and the terrible towels, all right? This isn't the LA Lakers and their bandwagon going everywhere. This is the New York Knicks who have been really bad for a really long time. Now, they do work in the Garden, okay? More power to New York fans because they will still show up in the Garden and pack it out and make the mecca of basketball a hard place to play in. They don't travel. New York Knicks fans aren't known for traveling. So for them to take that, whatever it is, that 2 or 3 hour train ride going down to Philly and taking over that arena, dude, that's a problem. So I think Knicks win this series.
Knicks in 7.
That probably feels about right. So wrong, my bad. Thought Joel was going to be healthier. I didn't realize he was one leg and they were still going to roll him out there. That's my fault. I didn't think that was even an option. The next series, Milwaukee and Indiana. Pinky, what did I tell you would happen if Giannis missed the first 2 games?
They'd probably lose.
Yeah, they'd probably
missed the whole series.
Yeah, he hasn't played in a single game. And now you're going to have Dame out. Middleton is not healthy.
They're still up 5 at halftime.
Bobby Portis is going to be out.
No, he's playing.
Portis did play?
Yep. Portis is playing.
Okay. All right.
Portis, Middleton, Beverly, and they're up 5 at halftime.
Not worried. I don't see how Milwaukee wins this series. And I don't see Giannis staying there his whole career. Because I don't think he trusts the organization anymore. After the offseason acquirement of Dame, I am starting to get on the theory that Giannis didn't want Dame to begin with, and that was a front office move rather than a player conversation move, which is bad on so many fronts. I won't even get into it right now. Dame obviously didn't want to be in Milwaukee, but he's a true professional and he's going to do what he's got to do. But everything he was dealing with in his personal life this year, caused his on-court play to not be as good as it has been in the past. And he's in a new city, and he's on a new team with a new coach and a new system and everything else that goes into that transition. It was a bad move to begin with. Dame is not what they needed. Getting rid of Drew Holiday was not what they needed to do to improve their status within the East and a possible going back to the championship. If they find a way to pull out this series, though, I will say this, and I say this with my whole chest. If they win this series, based on what's happening in the next series we're about to talk about to finish out the East, Milwaukee could be in the finals.
There's no way. There's no way.
Yep. If Dame
with
and
Doc
Giannis,
Rivers, that's not happening.
If Dame and Giannis come back and play, they can easily win the East. Because what's going on in the Boston series all of a sudden? Did you hear the news today?
Porzingis is out for a couple games.
Out. And with Porzingis, once an injury shows up, it usually leads to lingering.
It said multiple games.
Yeah.
Whatever that means.
At least 2. Now, they'll beat Miami without Porzingis, okay? But let's look at this. Who would they play in the second round? Milwaukee. And if Milwaukee's healthy, if resting Giannis
No. The Celtics would play the winner of the Magic Cavaliers series. They play the 4-5.
Oh, that's right. Milwaukee finished 3.
Yeah, Milwaukee finished 3.
That's my fault. So that would be an Eastern Conference Finals.
Right.
Boston will beat whoever Milwaukee. I forgot about. So there's 2 more series to talk about. I apologize. Cleveland, Orlando. I told you Cleveland. I still think wins that, but Orlando's giving them some work.
Cleveland's up 3-2.
Yeah, we'll take care of that real quick. Cleveland's got a nice young team, but they just don't have all the pieces they need to compete. So they'll lose.
Some of the guys aren't healthy, but yeah.
Boston can still get there, so they're in the Eastern Conference Finals. You look at New York and Milwaukee, because that's who would be the 2-3. I don't know why I thought Milwaukee was 4. That was stupid. I apologize. I'm all over the place right now. New York, Milwaukee. Milwaukee wins that series if Milwaukee is healthy. If Giannis and Dame are both playing, Milwaukee beats New York. I fully believe that. New York just doesn't have the firepower or the defensive capacity to keep up with a healthy Milwaukee squad, regardless of Doc Rivers being the coach. The interesting thing would then be all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. If Milwaukee's fully healthy and Boston still doesn't have Porzingis, shit hits the fan for Boston, in my opinion. That's the East. I could keep going. I've already gone too long. I apologize, Pete.
Way too long.
It's not too long, but for you, it's too long. So
Robert hasn't talked in 20 minutes. Robert's over there looking at anime porn. I mean, you like that? You like that? Yeah, Robert likes it.
Give him a little anime porn. Give him a little hentai. Moving along. So, look at the East. There's a lot of what ifs in the East. Are guys healthy? Are they not healthy? That depends on matchups. That decides who's going to go on and move forward. I do believe, all things considered right now, if Giannis and Dame come back healthy and can play and Porzingis miss time, I now see Milwaukee coming out of the East. Because Porzingis is a huge, huge loss for Boston.
Yeah.
You ready? Go ahead.
I'm always ready, buddy. I'm always
ready. You got your NFL.
What do you want to hear? What do you want to do?
Give a quick synopsis. Give a quick recap of your weekend, and then we'll move into some tearing down of situations of people that drafted.
You want some story time?
Do a little story time.
So, Detroit was fun, fellas. Detroit was fun. Again, anytime you get to go out of town for the weekend with Andy, my brother, and my son, it's a good time. No drama, no worries, just living life and having fun. Detroit was cool, man. We got in Wednesday. Flight was fine. It's about a 3-hour flight, and doesn't quite feel like it. Real cool. Plus, you gain 2 hours time wise, so it was about 5 o'clock by the time we got into Detroit. We actually just went to a local dive bar by our hotel. There wasn't quite a walkway, so we had to walk across railroad tracks and through brush, and it maybe wasn't the safest, but this dive bar was awesome. We watched the Heat Celtics game there, which the Heat won, which was hilarious. The waitresses were trying to get me drunk. They did a good job. The Long Islands there were awfully strong. I don't know if they were doing that on purpose, but they were strong. They hit the spot. We had a fantastic time there. Like I'd go back there. No problem. The prices were good. Prices like burger and fries was like $12. The Long Islands were like $10. The beers, there was a special on beers. We were having these beers for like $4. I mean, my tab. I think
the Schlitz up there in Detroit.
No, I did try this like fruit ale. That was delicious, and it was 7.5% too.
Oh, you're drinking real beer, not piss water.
It was good.
For you.
No.
That you want to drink the water there, Caleb. Let's be real.
Right.
Oh, you definitely don't drink the water there. No,
it was mainly bottled water.
That's hard for people from Colorado to understand too.
Oh. No, you taste the water and you'll understand it.
No, I'm just saying, like, I get people coming to visit to Colorado and they ask like for a bottle of water. So I'm like, no. The tap water is actually really good here. That's what we survive on. You're okay.
Yeah, like you'll be fine. In fact, you'll think this is the best water you've ever had, and it is. So Thursday, we went out to the actual draft, and it was in downtown Detroit. The setup was not it was not optimal. Let's just say that. So Andy wanted to buy a hat. He wanted to get a Detroit Lions hat, kind of like the one I have on right now.
Ugh, I need one of those hats.
They're hot. They're nice.
I need
they're on NFL Shop or Fanatics. But so we get down there. He buys a hat, kind of check out things. Oh, I should say, before we headed down there, we did the only Detroit, like, we kept asking people, hey, like the guy on the airplane that I was sitting next to, the guy Andy was sitting next to, like what's the thing to do in Detroit? What should we make sure we do? What food should we eat before we go? And most people wouldn't really give us an answer. I think one person told Andy, like, yeah, don't get shot. Like we were just like, okay.
I love big boys. That's where I go.
We were like, okay, where do we go?
Chili dogs are a big thing in Detroit, aren't
they? So the guy sat next to on the airplane, which I've got him hooked up on Instagram. He's a Detroit Lions season ticket holder.
Okay.
Nice.
He has 8 seats, so he was like, if you guys want to come to a game, let me know. I'll sell you, sell you my tickets.
8 seats.
I'm going to Michigan this fall. It's happening.
He's probably not going to have 8 seats after they raised them ticket prices this year, right?
No. Well, so his tickets last year for the season for all 8 was $8,000.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and then they announced that they're going to screw their fans over and jack everything up.
His new prices, $22,000.
Dude, that's gross.
$14,000.
That's a yucky ownership, dude.
All
that says is you are
that's like an 80%
ownership.
increase.
He has 4 suite club level tickets, and he has 4 like lower bowl tickets.
Dang, man.
So definitely have to talk to him.
For a living. Can I go work with him?
Yeah.
And he lives in California. So really nice guy. But he was like, you got to go to Lafayette, Coney Island, and get their chili dogs.
Yep.
And he said, right next door is American Coney Island.
That's what I was just going to ask. Okay. Yep. I know
exactly
like, what you're talking about.
He's like, you can't go,
but I know what you're talking about.
You can't go there. You got to go to Lafayette. And I find out that that's like a thing. Like you either are Lafayette or you are American. like one or the other. Because we actually ran in in a moment. I'll tell you about what we did on Friday, but so we did Lafayette Coney. This was like the most. Have you guys been to the Skirted Heifer?
Yeah.
And you know how tiny it is?
Place. Yeah.
And you've got this little tiny table, and there's people in line around you while you're trying to eat your burger.
Yeah, this
Those are where the best food
walk
is,
in and
man.
order and walk out and eat it kind of
Where
establishment.
the best food is, hands down.
That's basically what this place is. There's like this long table in the middle. There's a couple side tables. We ended up like getting in line, and as soon as we're getting in line, the people right there were leaving. So I was like, hey, will they take your order here, or you gotta do it up front? And they're like, no, they'll get your order here at the table. So we sit down at the table, and it's like there's a line behind us, there's a line on the other side of us. It's packed in this place. Poor Andy, like I don't know why, but I took my white Lions jersey off, put it on my chair.
No,
I put my hoodie over the white jersey so nothing would happen. Andy did reverse. He took his hoodie, put it on the chair, and then put his white jersey over the chair. And you can imagine what happened to his nice white jersey before we left that place.
Well, he can say he was in Detroit.
Someone walking behind him got some chili on his white jersey.
Oof.
So
Oof.
we ordered 2 dogs and an order of chili fries. I think the bill for me and Pinky Jr. was like $40. It was delicious. Nothing amazing that would make me go, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever. But it was good. But so again, I felt like it's something you could make at home.
You're saying it's Detroit's in and out is what you're telling me. Okay.
Right. Yeah. For sure.
But see, I'm disappointed in you because you didn't just get one dog there and then just walk exactly next door and go grab another dog. That's what I'd have been doing. I'd have been double fisting to compare and contrast to find out why people are deciding one over the other.
I relied on the Detroit guy who told me you don't want American, you want Lafayette.
And unfortunately, you didn't know that there was a thing. I wish I had. I should have told you before you left. I didn't know if that was something you guys would have time to do, so I didn't think about it. You got a good chili dog.
We really wanted to go to Mom's Spaghetti, M&M's restaurant, but they don't open till 4, and that was just a big hassle to try to get there later. And day one there was 275,000 people in this little area of downtown Detroit.
Those overhead pictures looked intense.
Yeah, I was getting claustrophobia just looking.
We're over on the right-hand side, 20 rows back.
Yeah, I know exactly where you were, and
we are in
stuck.
it.
Yeah, you were there. You weren't not.
So I think we got lined. I think we got in there 3:00. And we stood there. I drank the rest of my beer, was out of beer, had a bottle of water in a bag. I was like, I'm not going to drink water because I don't want to have to pee. Right before Big Sean comes on, I look behind and I'm like, I got to pee. And it's weighing that, like, how bad do I want to run through this massive humanity, leaving to go to the bathroom and then having to come back? So I make that judgment decision of, if I don't do this now, I'm going to be in a lot of pain. And at that point, you got to make a decision of, like, am I just going to pee myself, or do I leave and not come back? Is kind of what you got to make that decision. So I leave. In case
you're wondering, Gorgiev, another easy glove side goal just allowed.
They were on the power play.
That was pathetic.
But not a surprise.
All right, so giant crowd, fighting your way through it, but epic Thursday night.
So once Big Sean plays, then we still had another hour till the draft got moving. But when Goodell comes out and he's got Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson and Eminem, we are going nuts. We are having a blast.
Yeah, did he even really get booed? Like I feel like
he got
Detroit. He got booed, but was it real? Like, that wasn't a real boo. I feel like Detroit kind of missed their opportunity because they were so awestruck by what they were seeing on the stage.
Well, and it's funny. So at one point, like, you see Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson throwing up their hands, like, boo, boo. And I don't know. It sounded loud. I was booing. I boo Roger Goodell, and then I hope to take a picture with him later all the time.
Right.
But it was so crazy, and by this time it was super packed. I will say I made good friends with everyone around us.
You always do.
We were chatting. I had a very nice couple who loves Michigan, and they had Michigan Wolverine jerseys on. The one girl wanted JJ McCarthy to go anywhere but Minnesota. She was just like, "Come on, JJ." And that's all she wanted to do. She just wanted to see JJ get drafted, and she was out. Like, that's it. That's what she wanted. Come to find out, her husband is a Broncos fan somehow. And he was like, "Wait, you've got a Broncos hat. I wear my Broncos hat Thursday night. You got a Lions jersey. What's going on? How's this? What's happening here?" And that happened a lot Thursday. I did share my story a lot.
But that was done on purpose, right? So that you could share the story. That was part of the appeal of what you guys did, which was just absolutely brilliant. And Pinky, why don't we cruise through the next couple of days so that we can actually get to the draft itself. But before you do that, I did want you to share the Jace story, because I think it's incredible what you guys did, and I think it's a really cool tribute.
So I had a pretty cool friend that I had worked with in my early 20s when I worked at Ford Credit Motor Company. This guy, Gary Cooper, really nice guy. We'd hang out. I had my first child, Aaron. He had his first child, Avery. We'd get together with the kids in the car seats and hang out. And as life went along and we went separate ways in our careers, kind of lost track. Facebook hadn't connected us all yet. But when my son's a freshman at Pine Creek, I go to a football practice and I'm like, "Hey, Gary, what are you doing here?" And he's like, "I'm here for football. My stepson, Jace, is playing football." And I was like, "Caleb's playing football." He was like, "Little Caleb?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "He's not so little anymore, but yeah, he's playing football." So the boys actually became good friends. And we, kind of have kept in touch. The boys have kept in touch. They went to school all 4 years together. And, oh, wow. Who made that take?
Don't keep talking. I got you.
That's a really bad take. So we, the boys graduated high school, and unfortunately, Jason ended up in a car accident and passed away 2 weeks after graduation. And Jason was a big, fun-loving kid. When we went to his funeral, man, there were so many people there. Like, this church was packed out. Parking lot was overrun. Like, he absolutely touched a lot of kids' lives, and they all had the same story. Like, he'd be there to talk to them. He'd be there to help them. He'd be there whenever they needed it. Just a really good kid. And it sucks when bad things happen to good people, right? And he was such a big Detroit Lions fan, like big Detroit Lions fan. And Gary was a Detroit Lions fan, so they matched up really well together as he became part of the family. And Gary even wore a Stafford jersey to the funeral, and it just felt right. Like it felt right, because if you watched anything, he was wearing Dodger blue or Lion blue. Like, he was always in, one of those two teams, jerseys. So we kind of thought about it, and I decided with Caleb that, hey, if we're gonna go to Detroit, I wasn't too keen on going to Detroit, but he was like, "We got to go to Detroit." Detroit's Andy's second favorite team, so we're like, "Okay, we'll go up there." We said, "Hey, you know what? Let's get custom jerseys and Lions jerseys with Jace's name on the back, and that way we'll get to take him around Detroit and show him the places he didn't get to go, and he'd get to be a part of it." And and it kind of came with a heavy heart doing that. But I tell you, every time someone asked, I did light up being able to tell the story about, hey, here's a young man that was a devout Lions fan, loved the Lions, really good kid, and we just wanted to make sure we brought him around Detroit. So, and people asked, like, they would see Jace on the back. I don't know what Jace 99. Wait, yours says Jace 58. Yours says Jace 9. What is this? What's going on? And so we were able to share the story with a lot of Lions faithful, and they thought that was like the coolest thing. And
it was. It's.
So.
I don't even want to talk about the rest of your weekend because I feel like that's where we need to leave that. And that's up to you. If you want to keep going, go right ahead.
Well, I'll just say
great time. But that, Pinky, I'm just going to say it again, and I'll keep telling you. I think that was one of the coolest ways that you could have paid tribute to somebody that I've heard of ever. And the fact that you, Andy, and Junior were able to not only get the jerseys and not only take him with you to Detroit and take him to the draft, but get the fandom from that team to then perk their ears up and their eyes open a little bit and go, hang on, what's this? And then you get to share that story with everybody. It's epic, my guy. Absolutely epic. And cheers to you. Cheers to you guys, because that's one of the coolest things I've heard.
Thank you, my friend. So I've got to say just a couple things, and then I do want to talk about the picks. And I'll when we talk more in depth about what happened, I'll bring up the reactions at the draft. But one of the things while we were waiting for the draft to start, they had like trivia stuff come up on the video boards, all the stuff. But then they started showing the new team's uniforms. Jets, Texans. We got shit on so hard for our uniforms. It was not even funny. And I was like, yeah, guys, I don't like them either. Like, it was pretty funny. So any Broncos fan that likes those jerseys, that deep down says those are really good jerseys or they're improvements, I can tell you the rest of the fans out there thought they're dog shit.
They're bad, but they're better than what they were, and that's the problem. Like, as a Broncos fan, I think any Broncos fan that says they like them, I think they're literally comparing trash, which is what the old ones basically were, and saying, well, this is a little better. I could get behind.
And again,
this.
I just hate the shoulders.
I don't
hate
like the fact that there's somebody out there
the
who designed these and thought this was going to go over well. Like, you have zero eye for anything.
They designed them, and then somebody signed off on them.
I know. I know. Yeah.
And with that being said, the Lions black alternate jersey.
Which one did you want? Did you want Laporta? You want Sun God, or you want Hutchinson?
Hutchinson or Sun God will probably.
They've already got him.
Don't go current.
My website's already got them. They're dope.
What do you mean? Don't go current.
Hutch is dope, bro.
Well,
yeah,
I'm a bad person to ask about jersey. I refuse to wear a jersey for anybody that's currently playing.
That's
not bad. I've got a curse.
The likelihood of them staying on the team in today's modern era of sports is slim to none. So you retire with the team, or you retire, period, then I'll look at getting your jersey of that team. But I walk in any jerseys of any players who are active.
So so that was one thing I wanted to comment on. VIP Saturday was pretty dope, fellas.
Still hits.
Bro, we had last year
3 times. Cleveland.
4.
Cleveland. Oh, you were at Tennessee last year, right?
Nashville. So Cleveland, Vegas, KC.
Tennessee. Okay. Yep.
We didn't go to Tennessee.
Thought you were. Oh, that was just a separate trip when you guys went to Nashville.
We went to Nashville to see a game.
That's what that was. Okay.
So yeah, we haven't actually gone to the draft. If they had it back in Nashville, I don't know if I would go. That Nashville one, I talked to people that went to that one. That was asses and elbows everywhere you went. Like everywhere you went. I don't know how. I don't know. The Detroit one was a little much. It was a little much. Like, we literally stayed down there until the Broncos picked, and then Junior was like, I gotta pee. And I was like, if we leave, we're not coming back. And he was like, that's cool. We can just hang out in the back. I was like,
Unfortunately, I feel like that's going to be what it is going forward now. This has become the event that the
NFL
wanted. So,
and that's where KC, the setup they had in KC was pretty awesome.
In that giant open park, basically, right?
Well, you had the area by the stage was down by this fountain, and the fountain had a street on both sides of it. And you were kind of lined up in that street, but you could literally go left or right and go to the bathroom and still get back into your spot.
I mean,
Because
say what you want, but the beauty of being a man in those situations is such that you don't necessarily have to find a particular area to take care of things.
Yeah, that's true. So, but VIP was great. We had really good seats. We were right on the aisle. I almost was able to get a trivia question from Scott Hansen again, but the kid next to me stole it. That's the second time he stole the question from me. It's a Jaguars fan. He's answered questions. He's gone 4 straight years. We talked about it. He has stole questions from me twice, and he's answered 3 questions. He's won autographed helmets 3 times.
How is he? What, are you just not loud enough, or what?
So I'm standing like right there next to him. I'm cheering. I'm trying to get Scott's attention, and he just kind of picks on him. And it's the same question. 2 of the 3 years, it's been the same question. What team has not had the number 1 pick in the draft? And there's 3 of them.
Seattle.
And I was pointing to Scott too. I was like, Scott.
Seattle, Denver, and Seattle, Denver, and I'm drawing a blank on the last one now. I know this.
They've relocated.
The Texans.
San Diego.
So they started in one city, they relocated, and then they came back.
Cleveland's never had.
Baltimore. Cleveland's had probably the most number 1.
Baltimore didn't relocate.
The Baltimore Colts became the
okay,
Indianapolis Colts.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
The Cleveland Browns became the Baltimore Ravens.
I see what you're saying. I thought you meant as a franchise staying the same. Never mind. Okay.
So those 3. So he got the question right, and then Scott was going to ask the question again because he only asked for 1 team. He was going to ask it again, and the kid answered the next 2. Oh, the Avs scored again.
No, the Avs didn't. You got to love a good own goal.
It didn't work? It didn't go through?
Oh, no, it was an own goal. Avs were centering the pass, and the Winnipeg Jets player just came cruising down the middle of the ice and kicked it right into the net.
Oh, good.
With his stick.
So, I got pictures with Scott Hansen. I got pictures with Colleen Wolfe.
Did he remember you? Did he recognize you? That's what I wanted to know.
I'm going to hit him up on Twitter. I'm going to send him a picture of us on Twitter and be like, hey, man, good to see you again. I got a picture with Colleen Wolfe. I told her go Birds because she's an Eagles fan. She loved that. She was like, she's on NFL Network. She does a lot of stuff on NFL Network. And she's a big Eagles fan. So I was like, go Birds. And she was like, oh, you're my dude. Oh, it was cool. She was cool. I tried to get drunk. I drank 16 beverages. Those beverages would cost about 15 to 16 a piece. So I was trying to drink my money's worth. And it did not happen, boys. I really tried, though.
Altitude to sea level is a real thing, my guy.
I really tried. I wasn't even
sea level is a real thing.
I wasn't even stumbling this time. So I know in KC coming out of the private bathroom, it's like in a trailer, so you have to go up 3 steps. I kind of start to notice if I'm wobbling a little bit up and down the steps. No wobble. I was straight confident.
No wobble.
So
love it. Love it. Hey, before we continue, I just realized earlier, J-Rod asked where you were. J-Rod, if you're still listening, I totally forgot. My responses that I'm sending to you guys don't go to Twitter. So I can see what you say. You don't see what I write back. So Pinky left because Plumber had to show up. Pinky's having some issues with a water heater not working properly. Ghost of Adam Gase. My response to you was very short and sweet. That is the most delusional take we have heard in a very long time. There is zero chance Adam Gase should get another chance anywhere in the NFL. Anywhere in the NFL.
That's just a troll job, bro. I think that's a troll on his picture, so I think that matches.
Oh, it's definitely a troll. I'm still going to... Dude, I don't sit here and allow dumb shit to be said as truth. Like, that doesn't exist in my world. So regardless if it's troll or not...
Caleb's like, it's my way or nothing.
Dude, I'm still calling out the troll for the troll. Like, no, we're not doing those games. No different than, you know, that dumbass who commented on our page about football is stupid. Don't comment. Like, I'm not going to delete it. I could. I'm not going to delete it. I'm just going to tell you you're a dumbass for commenting something that has nothing to do with the conversation.
So I'm going to tell you guys, I would say if I had to rank the drafts I've been to, Vegas, KC, Cleveland, Detroit.
Ooh.
And Cleveland is for two things. One, we got to go in the stadium. Two, it's down on the waterfront. Three, it was we were still kind of in the COVID time. Very limited VIP. It was like a very limited area, and it was with my son for the first time. So that holds like a special place in my heart. But we talk about just how everything was done. The KC draft is like where they had it, how they set it up was the best.
Damn shame the franchise can put money into the draft. They can't put money into their own facilities.
Right. So, let's talk some draft talk, boys. I think our mock wasn't too bad at the end of the day.
No, the mock was actually fairly solid. Not identical, but fairly solid.
Every time I was on pick, I was like, I think we had a guy like that going there. Yeah,
dude. Like our first, like Cody and I were going back and forth, and it was like the first 6 or 7 picks were like identical or something like that. Minus like I think Cody took JJ instead of Drake May or something like that. But we all talked about how JJ is most likely going to end up in Minnesota. Like we nailed like those first like 7 or 8, I think, and then I think you had Falcons with Turner. I think you had with the only defensive player going in the first like 14 or 15 picks. And even that we kind of went back and forth on of how they could easily go offensive and add weapons for Kirk Cousins and things of that nature. So we even said, and we preached this for the last month and a half, that this should be a very heavy offensive, and we'd be very surprised if a defensive player went in the first like 15. So amazingly enough, we kind of nailed this first round.
So let me ask, Robert, what stood out to you? What do you want to talk about?
Man, honestly, I am very concerned about the Falcons' trajectory and some of the decision makings they made.
There's a lot to unpack here.
There really is.
To unpack here. I will say so.
I'm very uneasy about it.
I had a Falcons fan standing right next to me, and he's not just a Falcons fan. He was decked out in like a suit, like a red suit, had the red fedora.
Classy.
Not fedora. He had the kangaroo hat.
Yeah,
had a kangaroo hat. And then he had a champion, like a WCW, like championship belt spray painted with ATL on it. I mean, this guy was decked out.
Yeah.
And he was ready for the Falcons pick. And he was so excited. He was like Roma Doomsday, Dallas Turner, Jared. I mean, he was like ready. And they say Michael Penix, and this dude, like the hat came off, the head went down, and it was just like he was donezo.
No.
I think he made it. I think he made it like I think the next team, number 9.
The Bears. They took a Doomsday.
I look over right after Doomsday's gone, and this guy's out. Like, he was nowhere to be seen.
Damn. Wow.
I think I was one of very, very, very few who actually liked the pick from the very beginning.
So
It doesn't make sense.
It actually makes a ton of sense.
okay. So the owner made a comment that actually does make a lot of sense.
And I haven't read that, so please enlighten me.
The owner mentioned that he doesn't want to be in quarterback purgatory again. The last 2 seasons with Taylor Heineke and Desmond Ridder and the ghost of Matt Ryan, or all of that, he just didn't want to be in quarterback purgatory anymore.
Well, he didn't have an exit plan after Matt Ryan, and he's watched what the Packers have been doing, and it was decision time.
So I don't think they're one player away from the Super Bowl. So I don't think, to me, if the Jets had taken J.J. McCarthy, I would have been like, no, man, you're all in with Aaron Rodgers right now. You take, and you've already paid Aaron Rodgers all this money. So, you want to get cheap talent and get that cheap talent to perform for you to push you over the top versus where the Falcons are right now. The Falcons are a good young team with some pieces. They need some more pieces. You could make the case. Now, I thought I've listened to a lot of folks talk about this. I don't hate it. But the problem I have with it is, A, you are paying Kirk Cousins this crazy amount of money. B, you've now added another $20 million from Penix, drafted him so high. But it's the optics are bad. Again, it could make complete sense. Penix if Cousins never gets back to, he was MVP form last season before he gets hurt. I think he would have been in that conversation by the end of the season with the numbers he was putting up.
Yep.
So if he doesn't get back to that form, this may look like a genius move. If he comes back and he's blowing it out of the water and he's MVP candidate for the next 2 to 3 years, Penix is riding the bench. But Penix is ready to start now. That sucks for him. That really does suck for him. He's not Jordan Love that really did need some time to get acclimated, figure things out. Penix is ready to rock and roll. And that's where, and I listened to Rich Eisen. I think Rich Eisen's point was so much. Rich Eisen loved Michael Penix, and I think most people will say they love Michael Penix. But they're mad for him because him going to a team that needed a quarterback like the Raiders, where he could go in and start day one, is really what needed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're thinking he's going to be stuck behind Cousins for 2 years. He's already 24. That means he's 26, 27 by the time he's actually getting to play.
The age doesn't matter because quarterbacks are playing so long now.
They are.
If you can get 10 years out of your starter, you're golden.
But you could also be 3 years into, his contract where you've got to pay him, and now that salary for him is even more.
Look,
if you knew you were going to try to draft, and again, this is why free agency should be after the draft. But I think it's kind of waste for them.
I don't disagree, but I don't agree. I'm
not giving them an F on their draft grade because
I know you're not. I know you're
not. No, not at all. It wasn't a bad pick, but overall, it definitely
brilliant move. This was a brilliant move by Atlanta. I think people are forgetting a couple things. One, they already have weapons on offense that weren't being used. They have legit weapons. London, Pitts, Bijan, they brought in Mooney. They have weapons that the ball can be thrown to. Now,
hang on. Make the case.
Hang on. They have weapons. They have a solid offensive line. Their defense isn't great, but it's not bad. This is the kicker that, for whatever reason, nobody seems to want to discuss. Kirk Cousins is 35, coming off a torn Achilles. Now, while Achilles injuries are no longer the death of an athlete's career, anybody coming back from Achilles is notorious for having additional injuries come up in the lower body because the body is compensating naturally to adjust for and protect that injury. You see it a lot with knee injuries too, but really with Achilles. So you have a 35-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles injury who may or may not be ready to go by the start of the season. And if he gets nicked up at all and has to miss games, you didn't have a backup who could go in there and play anyways. Now let's take it a step further. You want to talk about contract? They can get out of Kurt's contract in 2 years pretty much scot-free. They'll have to pay a little bit, but I think it'd be a $12 million dead cap hit or something like that after 2 years. That's nothing in the NFL, especially with the way the salary cap's going up. That would be nothing. So if he sits, Penix is only sitting 2 years. I will guarantee that now. He is not sitting past that. They will cut Kurt after that, and they will move forward with Penix. The final point I will make is the simple fact that I've never believed in the idea that if you have two quarterbacks, you have none. The only reason somebody said that is because they don't have a quarterback. And so they kept trying to add something to get something of trash and no value. By all accounts, from my perspective, Penix was as talented as any other quarterback in this draft when it comes to throwing the ball. Now, you want to talk about athleticism and things of that nature? Okay, fine. Maybe some of those athletic intangibles he doesn't have the same as maybe a May or a Williams. But I don't think anybody throws the ball in this draft better than Penix. He's a little bit older, so he's got the maturity. He has come through adversity and knows what it takes to go through the dark and come out the light. That dude had 4 years of college football taken away from him because of major injuries. Went to Washington, nobody believed in him, played 2 years injury-free, and lit the world on fire. So now, if Cousins does go down, their season isn't over. By all accounts, they can, for the most part, pick up where Cousins left off and keep going. So not only do you have your future, but you have your current, and you already have weapons. So adding a Rome Odunze, while maybe nice and a luxury pick, wasn't necessary. And there was nobody on the defensive end, in my opinion, that was worth picking over Michael Penix based on skill level. And I feel like a lot of those defensive players would have been just a reach because you felt like you needed it. So if you scheme your defense correctly and your offense can put points on the board, you're going to be just fine. Just fine. And you got, by their own admission, the second best quarterback in the draft on their board at the 8th pick, and you now have your franchise quarterback for the next decade. I don't see literally anything wrong with this pick other than one thing. It is a selfish move for the franchise, and it could be seen by players within that locker room as a kick in the nuts. But as a overall team perspective and what it does for them current and long term, I actually really like the pick.
That locker room's going to be split
for sure.
There's going to be Kirk guys and there's going to be Penix guys.
Oh, and I don't know. I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that at all, Pinky. No, I don't. That's not what I thought when you said split. When you said split, I thought you meant split as in ownership screwed us or we're good to ride and trust it. I don't think there's going to be a quarterback split controversy at all. That team will be behind Kurt. And if they need to get behind Penix, they will. But I think it's very clear that it's Kurt's team right now. And I don't, unless he plays really bad, nobody on that team is going to be mad that he's the starter right now.
But also, and again, this is like you said it. I think you did it. You said it well. Selfish.
Mm-hmm.
The first time Kirk Cousins throws a pick, the crowd is going to be all over. We want Penix.
I don't see that.
That always happens. Always.
Yeah, but that's because.
And this is a guy. And again, this comes back to if this was a Jordan Love, if this is somebody who is seen truly as a developmental player, lots of skills, a lot of things that you can mold, but not ready yet, I think you could do that. And nobody's going to be yelling for him to get on the field. But
This
if you have
isn't
a guy
Alex
that's
Smith,
ready,
yeah, but this isn't an Alex Smith, Colin Kaepernick situation. They know what they have in Kurt, and they know that they can win with Kurt. So there's not going to be this, he had a bad game, move on. If they feel that way, Pinky, and you might be right, there might be some fans that feel that way.
The
but
fan base is going to turn on.
If that fan base feels that way, they felt that way when they signed Kirk Cousins. So they felt that way the whole time. It's not going to be something new.
I know, but
there's so many Kirk Cousins haters out there already.
I think Kirk Cousins gave them hope because they had Desmond Ridder. They had nothing. Now they have Kirk Cousins. But now you've got something equally as good.
I see what you're saying.
Again,
but I'm saying
good for the team.
If they turn on Kirk
bad
that
for the
fast,
players.
they didn't want him in the first place. Because they're one of those people who believe the media narrative that Cousins isn't an actually good quarterback because he didn't win on Monday night or he hasn't had a playoff win. Like, those aren't Kurt's fault.
I do agree with you, though, that I don't – like, I'm not going to kill them for the pick. I don't think it was awful by any means. But –
no, I want to be clear on that. I'm not killing him for it either.
I would have taken a Dunze there, a Dunze in London, and Mooney, who's a great third option. Like, that team is rolling. That team is rolling.
So there's only so many balls that can be thrown in a given game, and you can't.
And Kirk Cousins will throw a lot of them.
Yeah, but they're going to be a run-heavy team, so you don't need to be bringing in a third wide receiver that would be a fourth option. Like, that's not something they needed. You know what I mean? Like, they needed a quarterback. They needed a solid quarterback, and they didn't have one to back up Kirk Cousins. Now they got a good backup and their future all in one.
We'll see how it plays out. Again, you can't grade anything. That's why draft grades are pretty dumb.
Yeah, they're stupid as
hell.
all.
I'm looking at them. I'm like, everybody got A's and B's except for the Broncos and the Falcons, and they got F's.
Only because of the quarterbacks that they took in the first round. But hey, guess what? Right. If Tom Brady had been taken in the first round back in the day, everybody would have given the Patriots an F. And now everybody would have been like, why didn't you take him 1 overall? So that's an idiotic thing to say. And I also find it, again, I'll say it again, these keyboard warriors who tell us we don't know what we're talking about and the GMs know everything. Like, dude, if you know anything about a game and you have 2 eyes and you're able to do some deductive reasoning on your own, you can come up with fairly similar evaluations to what these GMs are doing. So for somebody to sit here and have a draft grade on Bo Nix or Michael Penix and be not, first of all, first round, because any quarterback that has talent should be a first round grade, period, in today's modern NFL. Period, end of story. Secondly, look at what they did in college football last year. This is not a Spencer Rattler, okay, who didn't quite play as well as he could have, has a lot of issues. These were 2 dudes competing for possible national championships and leading their team doing it. So then on top of that, you put in the fact that the teams needed a quarterback. To say that these guys you're giving an F grade to because they reached on the quarterback it's just a silly thing to do.
Robert, did you see I saw somebody posted out there of going back and they like reposted different quarterback grades, and like Patrick Mahomes, they gave the Chiefs a C grade that draft because of Patrick Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And all he's done is won 3 Super Bowls. So like what do these guys know?
How can you give
exactly
you want to give the Falcons an F? I think you're an idiot, but okay. Like, I can at least listen to why you're giving the argument. But you say that about the Broncos, you obviously don't know who the head coach is and what he wants to do. You didn't watch Bo Nix play college football last year, and you don't understand that the Broncos needed a quarterback.
But those same guys are the same ones that are saying that the best landing spot for Bo Nix was Denver.
I know. That's where I was going with this. So that's the kicker is – one side of their mouth, they're saying all these things about why it's a terrible pick, but this side of the mouth, they're saying the Broncos have to get their quarterback. So if they had traded up for J.J. McCarthy, no issues. You stand pat and take Bo Nix, there's a giant problem because he can't throw a deep ball. But I've seen him throw a lot of deep balls at Oregon, so I'm very confused.
So I will say I was very happy in the crowd. I do like Bo Nix. Caleb, my son, the whole time as quarterbacks were going off the board, and he'd be like, "That guy sucks." Now my son is a hater, as you guys know.
Mm-hmm.
He is a
He's
class.
a big hater.
He is a big hater. He had Bo Nix as the second best quarterback in the draft, based on him. Now again, he hates on everyone, so it's hard to take those things by. But he literally was like, JJ McCarthy's garbage. Watch him. I was like, I don't know if that's a fair assessment because again, what he ran, he's young. He does have some talent, but like I started watching Bo Nix after the Colorado game. Like I knew who he was from Auburn. I'd kind of seen him a little bit. I'd seen him last year with Oregon a little bit. But I watched that CU game and he lit them up. Like he lit them up. And it was like magical. Like the ball didn't hit the ground.
In today's modern NFL, I don't know how you could downgrade a quarterback for being insanely accurate and incredibly decisive with his decision making.
And mobile.
I don't know how you would fault a quarterback for having those qualities, which is what arguably are the two most highly coveted qualities in a modern day quarterback.
I love the press conference. I love the guys. I love Sean Payton. So we've talked about this a lot. Hold on. Well, I should say I don't know if I love Sean Payton, but I love that you say the game may have passed him by. And he is an old football coach. He's a snarky SOB. He's kind of a jerk. But he mentioned analytics. And to me, the old ball coaches, I don't know if they use analytics as much as we think they should. And he mentioned it. We went to the analytics guys and we said, take this quarterback, take all these quarterbacks. We want to dive into the numbers.
And they started saying, take out these throws, take out these throws. I want to see if it's just this. And
what did he do on third down? Does he get sacked? Does he fumble?
Take out all the screen passes. Take out all the passes within 5 yards. Let me see what it looks like as he starts to progress. Yeah, absolutely. That's what you should do with everybody.
And who is still number one?
Bo Nix.
Now,
Broncos fans, you do, and let me caveat this before I say it. If you listen to us, you know I'm a Broncos fan, and I am incredibly hard on them. I love it. I thought they nailed this draft, and I didn't think there was any possibility that was going to happen. I made that pretty clear before.
Where's the recorder? I need to record this.
So I said it to Pinky as soon as it happened. I thought they nailed the draft. I don't have any faith in the people who are supposed to develop the talent, though. So while I think you nailed the draft and you got the right picks, I still don't have faith that the organization is going to be able to do what they need to do with the picks. I'm just being honest. All that being said, though, when you look at, and this is the grain of salt you need to take, Broncos fans, and I said all that to kind of, yes, I've been negative. So this isn't trying to come from a negative place. This is just trying to come from an evaluation of Bo Nix. I liked it, okay? But the offense he ran at Oregon is very much spread and shotgun. He can play under center. He has the footwork. I'm not saying he can't. But the grain of salt I would take with everything Pinky just mentioned and that I've been talking about him with is the fact that when he has to go under center or when he's in the shotgun making these decisions, the field is not going to be open and as easy to read like it was when he was playing in that wide open offense up northwest. Right. I'm not saying he won't develop and be able to be. I think he will be a solid starter in the NFL for a decade. The question with Nix is going to be, can his processing ability that he was elite at in college continue to grow up and develop to allow him to be elite in the NFL? Because if it does, he has all the other intangible. It's not the strongest arm, okay? But it is going to be one of the most accurate. and he can make the throws necessary.
I mean,
he's got a better arm than Chad Pennington. Okay, let's just put it there.
Let's just say, I think his arm is maybe a tad better than Brock Purdy's. I think Brock Purdy's doing okay.
I'll say it's above average. I would say his arm's above average. It's not great. He can't make all the throws that a Stafford can make, if you will.
Not many people can.
Right. I agree. I'm just we're making sure we're putting things into perspective is what I'm trying to do. I think he starts year one. I think he looks solid with Sean Payton's offense. I'm still concerned about his ability, though, to take the intangibles that you don't see on paper and be able to take them to the next level. Not concerned in a way that I don't think he's not going to be able to play at a good level. Concerned in a way that if Sean Payton truly is in a situation where the game's passed him by, then if that's the case, then I could see a situation where Bo Nix plateaus before we truly see his highest potential.
I think Bo Nix is going to be fine. I just think when you really break it down, there's still a lack of talent on this roster overall.
Yeah,
of superstars. Like we don't have superstars. I think we have very average players that will do their job and we can win some games with. But if we want to be a threat, if we want to compete for a championship, we need some superstars. And we don't have those guys yet.
I will not be surprised at all to see Bo Nix basically put up the exact same numbers Russell Wilson did this year as a rookie. That will not surprise me at all. It's just going to look different. And there's going to be some growing pains mixed in with that Broncos are still looking at, probably a 6-11, 7-10, somewhere in there type of season.
I mean, we did 8-9 last year, didn't we? I think we did 8-9. I mean, I think it can go as 5-12 and 8-9. Sounds about right. Somewhere in that range.
So, let's see what happens. I love the addition of Troy Franklin and matching them back up on the NFL level. I loved that move. So
loved it.
Broncos overall killed the draft. Falcons, I actually really loved Michael Penix, and I was baffled by everything they did after Michael Penix. So I think they failed the draft, and it's not because of the Michael Penix pick. It's because of everything they chose to do after the Michael Penix pick. I think a sneaky team that nobody's talking about that I feel like actually did really well in the draft, because you hear the Steelers, you hear the Bears, you hear other teams like that being talked about regularly. The team I think that actually did really well in this draft and is going to be sneaky competitive again next year, surprisingly, if their quarterback can stay healthy, is the Arizona Cardinals.
They definitely had some good, interesting picks that I'm looking forward to seeing how they build.
They've got their number one receiver. I think they drafted with Benson, their starting running back. Or at worst, you have a 50-50 1-2 combo with Connor. They grabbed, was it 2 offensive linemen or 1? And then they went defense. And I thought everybody they picked was a solid pick that will be able to contribute and fill holes exactly where they need them. And I don't feel like they reached for anybody.
I have a couple teams that I thought did just like really, really well. And
I will say real quick before you get into yours, and we'll dissect it too, Pinky. I think the other team that absolutely failed the draft, and it's not even close, and again, we could all be wrong because all these picks could hit and they could be starters for them for the next decade and we'd all look like fools. But I think the New York Giants had their heads up their asses and literally had no idea what they were trying to accomplish because their draft was bad.
Now, you could make the case, and this is again why I think the Broncos draft is good, because the rosters are so bad, any player you draft helps your roster because you're getting players. I didn't think it was awful, but I'm not going to kill him for it, but
I'm not killing anybody. I just think that, and again, this is my own, right? These are both my own evaluations. Unless you feel confident about that O-line somehow out of nowhere, taking Malik Neighbors when you have a questionable quarterback and no offensive line literally does you no good. Like, that's a wasted pick.
I know, but they've drafted O linemen for the last like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, and
it
they missed
hasn't
on all of
panned
them
out.
because their talent evaluation is terrible, which again goes back to why I feel like what they did in this draft was also really bad. You look at, and Pinky and I have been saying this for years. If you listen to us, you know we feel the exact same way Jim Harbaugh does. Offensive linemen are weapons. And if you don't believe it, then you don't understand what you're doing.
If your quarterback doesn't have time to throw the ball, it doesn't matter who you have out there.
Completely.
And not only that, the Giants quarterback is unfortunately injury prone. I still think we don't know what Daniel Jones is for 2 reasons. One, they've never given him any true weapons to assist him other than Saquon Barkley. But again, if you don't have an offensive line, you have no run game, and then trying to throw the ball becomes even harder. And 2, injuries. Daniel Jones, and anybody that wants to deny this is just hating, plain and simple. Daniel Jones has shown flashes of being capable of playing some really amazing football.
And he just needs the help.
Pinky, he absolutely has. He absolutely has.
He's straddling that Andy Dalton line real hard, my friend.
That's fine, but you want to say that, that's fine. But I don't ever remember Andy Dalton showing me flashes of like, oh, damn, that dude could do something special. I have seen that from Daniel Jones.
I haven't seen. I don't know what. I haven't seen it.
You haven't watched it. I just said that. You do. He had a 65-yard run that was the fastest person in the NFL that year. Those are explosive plays. Normal quarterbacks, your average quarterback cannot do those things. So I'm not saying these flashes have been a lot or consistently. But
we had Sam Darnold go for 70 yards, and I still don't think he's that great. Like, come on.
Sam Darnold, again, never given an opportunity to.
And he won't be given one this year either.
I bet you he does. I will be surprised if J.J. McCarthy starts. I will be surprised.
J.J. McCarthy starts halfway through the season.
I don't think so, and only because I think Sam Darnold's going to play really well and earn himself a potential starting spot next year.
I think the same thing's going to happen that usually happens. He's going to have a down game or two, and the crowd is going to go crazy for McCarthy, and they're going to put McCarthy in.
The problem with that is they're down 2 games. They're still going to be in the playoff hunt. Minnesota's a good team.
Possibly, but Chicago's going to be better, and we already know the Packers and Lions are good, so that's a tough division.
It is, but playoff hunt means the wild card 7 seed, right? Like getting in. You just got to get in. And I think McCarthy needs to sit a year. Look, I'm on record saying 9 months ago, I'm confused on what Jim Harbaugh is saying. And then I decided to shut my mouth and really go dive into him. And I think he's a crazy talented prospect, but I think he needs some time. And look, we all know I'm really high on Darnold. I think he's gotten, I don't know if there's
too high on Darnold.
I don't know if there's been a quarterback drafted as high as him that has been screwed over as badly as Sam Darnold was. You could put Zach Wilson possibly in that category, but I never saw anything from Zach Wilson that gave me hope or a possibility of if you put weapons around him, he's going to be good. I've never seen that from Zach Wilson, and I didn't think he was much coming out of college to begin with. I do think Sam Darnold, he's 25? He'll turn 26 during season. Like, this dude is still really young. So we'll see. J.J. McCarthy's the future of Minnesota. Period. End of story. They drafted him and be that.
I just think he's gonna have a short hook, my friend. That's just what I'm thinking. All right, we've talked enough. Robert, what do you want to talk about?
If they don't have any playoff possibilities, JJ will come in. I'll agree with you.
Like I said, I had a rough weekend, so I didn't get to see a lot of the draft picks. So I was doing a lot of cramming research.
This guy.
So hey, sorry, did not. I had a lot of stuff going on, man. So no, I've been, from what I have read, it was quite an athletic draft for a lot of teams. I'm just really looking forward to seeing how a lot of it works out. JJ McCarthy is one I'm very interested in. My wife's family team is the Vikings, so looking
Gross.
Gotta pull for it a little bit there. I mean, of course, with Cousins being
Broncos
there,
and Lions. Just Broncos and Lions.
I'm gonna still watch the Vikings. I didn't say I was gonna support them. There's a big difference. So I'll be interested to see what happens with them for sure. As far as Darnold goes, I don't have a lot to give on that aspect. I'm coming into it a little bit later than I probably would like to admit, but who knows what's gonna happen? Could be another Tom Brady situation.
Well, I will close up my thought with I really liked what I had 4 teams that I really liked what they did. And I thought the Commanders draft, their first 5 picks were pretty darn good.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty darn good. Daniels getting Newton in the second. They got a tight end in Sanat. They got Luke McCaffrey. They got another O-lineman. I just felt like very solid draft for that first draft under Dan Quinn. I thought the first 3, the Jets didn't have many picks, but their first 3 picks make so much sense for that all-in moment, right? Fashanu to protect Aaron Rodgers. Malachi Corley with the new kickoff rules and the whole, just get the ball in the guy's hands and let him do work. And then, hey, we've got Breece Hall that we're going to just run down your throat with. Once he's a little tired, we're going to put, baby Derrick Henry, Braylon Allen, and run him down your throat.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I love that. I did enjoy, and again, another really solid draft from the Steelers. They drafted 3 nasty offensive linemen. 3 of them.
They went, hey, we had a problem last year. You know what we're going to do about it?
Fix it.
And fix it they did.
Why more NFL teams don't do that, I will never understand. But the Steelers were like, yo, I feel weapons. We've got a quarterback. Let's roll.
I mean, they drafted their first 5 picks. They drafted 3 linemen, a wide receiver, and a linebacker.
Yeah, and that wide receiver is kind of sneaky, possibly good as well. And what does Pittsburgh do? Oh, yeah, they somehow find wide receivers of value later rounds, and they blow up.
Whoever, if you can just get a look at the Steelers wide receiver board.
Yeah, right? Take one
That's
of
all
them.
you need. They suck at drafting corners. They're pretty good on D linemen, and O-linemen in the past they had not been great on. But wide receivers, those guys can draft wide receivers.
And let's be honest, there is, and I don't believe this, and I wouldn't even necessarily make an argument for it, but I could see where someone could say Roman is actually the best wide receiver in this class, and it'd be hard to argue against it only because he played at Michigan, where they didn't really throw the ball. So you don't really know how truly talented he is. Where would have he been ranked in this draft if he was at Oregon, if he was at Washington, if he was at Alabama or Ohio State, where they're slinging the rock all over the place, and he's able to put up numbers? Where would have his draft stock been in that situation? So I'm not saying he's the best one. I'm just saying where they got him is only because of where he played, not because of his talent level. You're not even listening to the point, dude.
No, when you said it, I was already shutting you off at that point once you made that comment. That comment doesn't make, it doesn't go for me. But he's talented. I will give you that, and I like the pick. I've almost made him speechless. I love it. And then I had the Eagles as my last one. I really like pretty much. I don't really know Aeneas Smith, who they drafted in the 5th round, but everybody else, I thought they got Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. Jalix Hunt was one of the guys who's a developmental pass rusher, but he could be really, really awesome. They got Will Shipley, another running back, and then Jeremiah Trotter Jr. That just seems like that's perfect. His dad played for the Eagles. Now he's playing for the Eagles, so you just can't beat that.
Hate it.
All right, I'm done.
Caleb, your final thoughts?
See what happens when the season rolls around.
There you
He's
go.
so angry. He's so angry. Don't leave us with that. You're better than that, Caleb. Come on.
Oh, I'm good. Give your final thoughts.
This was a fun draft. I think a lot of teams did well. I don't think a lot of teams did really shitty. I think I would agree with you that after the Penix pick, some of what Atlanta did was maybe questionable. But I will say I was very intrigued. I did see a couple folks talk about how most of the quarterbacks, except for 2, went to defensive head coaches and organizations that don't really know how to help quarterbacks. That is an interesting storyline that I had not thought of it that way. Yeah, Jaden Daniels, Dan Quinn's a defensive coach. You've got Michael Penix, Raheem Morris is a defensive coach. You've got Drake May, Jared Mayo is a defensive coach. You've got Caleb Williams, Eberflus is a defensive coach. So these guys are going to have to overcome. And unfortunately, I don't know if any of these guys have offensive coordinators that may be like on the cusp of a head coaching job. I don't think any of them are. So they might get lucky and keep the same OC for a year or two. But Colin Cowherd's actually been really big on that. I think you've mentioned it too, Caleb. Like the problem with having a defensive coach is you always have to hire an offensive coach. And if the offensive coordinator is really good, he gets a head coaching job.
Yep.
So you don't get your quarterback to stay in the same system. Peyton Manning even mentioned it when he was giving Zach Wilson props of Zach Wilson might have something. He's never had an OC for the same year and 2 years in a row. Peyton Manning was like, I had the same OC for the first 13 years of my career.
I will say, and you'll probably tune me off on this too, but Cliff Kingsbury gets Jaden Daniels to ball out this year, he'll get some interviews.
What's ball out? What level are we talking about? We talking rookie of the year? We talking like
I'm
playoffs?
He's got to have Jaden Daniels going like. I mean, he's got to ball out. Like I'm talking like Andrew Luck kind of rookie season.
He wasn't like a Josh McDaniels flame out, but it wasn't really good in Arizona.
No, and that's why I think he could have an opportunity to get some looks again. Is if he shows he can develop. I mean, he showed that he can make Kyler Murray viable in the NFL right away, right? So if he can do that with Jaden Daniels, given the always constant turnover in the NFL head coaching circle, you go out there and you show Jaden Daniels as a legit badass weapon. You know, who gets first overall pick next year and they get Shadur Sanders and let's say they're hiring a new coach. I could see that being a situation where you're like, look what he just did with Kyler Murray. Look what he just did with Jaden Daniels. Let's bring him in and let him do it with Shadur Sanders. So I'm not saying it would happen, but I could see a path where he at least gets interviews.
I think your statement is right. He could get some interviews. I don't know if he would get a job because I think he's got to rebuild that image. But I do think he could get some interviews, and they bring him in. Tell us your vision. Tell us what went wrong in Arizona. What can you do different now? Sure, I can see that happen. See, I don't always disagree with you.
Oh, I'm not mad about the disagreeing. I'm mad at the lack of listening to a full thought before you shit all over me.
I mean, I have been drinking. Okay?
Not an excuse, my guy. You're better than that.
The moose is loose, baby.
So, Robert, where are you at, my guy?
Looking forward to it, like I mentioned, with the big things that are coming up. The fantasy season things, kind of seeing how all of it's working out. I'm very excited. It's a very athletic draft. Looking to see where people build, what kind of happens in the training camps and things now, and where everybody develops. For sure.
Go Lions.
Go Lions, man. I'm pulling them. I'm pulling for them. And Pinky, I'm getting a black jersey like as soon as possible when I get back. So
I've already got the order started. Just need to know what size and which one you want.
alrighty. Hutchinson and probably a small because I'm a small guy.
That's probably an understatement.
It very much is. Pinky. I was trying to diligently put that together.
You say I want the jersey of the dude who's an absolute monster, and then you do the exact.
Little people can have big dreams, Caleb.
Dude, they absolutely can. I just wasn't
don't
ready for the
squash
way
him
you
like
said
that,
it.
okay?
I wasn't ready for the way you said it.
You gotta live vicariously, man. Gotta live vicariously through the jersey, okay? Right. Little people, big spirit.
Oh goodness. That was great. We will be going NBA heavy next week. We'll always talk NFL because it's year round and there's always something to discuss. I will end on this. There is something coming up on Saturday that is the greatest 2 minutes in sports. I highly recommend you find a moment to sit down and watch it. It's the Kentucky Derby. It is something that I think is incredibly fascinating on many different levels. If you really start getting into horse racing, you start looking at horse deaths on track and steroids and everything else that it goes into the horse racing itself. But the Kentucky Derby on its own is it's an American tradition. And you could say that it is the original sport in the United States when it comes to horse racing. Yep. So I personally, it's on my bucket list. I would love to, at some point, get out to the Kentucky Derby, put some bets down, maybe hit a trifecta, drink some mint juleps, dress to the nines with my hat and bow tie. Awesome. And do work.
Awesome hat for your wife.
Oh yeah,
those are awesome.
So check it out. Saturday, around 4 p.m. Mountain Time is usually when the horses go off. So I highly recommend you check that out and enjoy the quote unquote greatest 2 minutes in sports. On that note, stay with us. Keep questions, concerns, comments, ideas. What you want to discuss with us coming, let us know. This is starting to get into that area of the year where, because we're not huge baseball people, there's going to be a little bit of a lull in the amount of things to discuss. There might be some
WWE talk. There might be some greatest of all time conversations. I'm sure we can find something.
We start
still have
talking
the
a little
movie
bit more
remakes
fantasy.
to discuss that I have the list for. That's been sitting in the back pocket.
The nonsense of our movie list that Robert's been putting together. So we got things. Don't worry. We'll keep you entertained. But this is the best time of the year for, if there's something you want to have as a conversation and jump in on, this is easily the time to do it. On that note, make sure you take advantage of those opportunities, those moments, those events that you have with your family, friends, inner circle, loved ones, whatever you consider to be close. Do not take them for granted. Cherish them. We appreciate all of you. We'll be back next Tuesday. We're out.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east.